Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on this Thursday afternoon. Landon with us as well. We're Sports Time, and we're with you for the next 3 hours. A ton to get into today. Grizzlies got a win last night over the 76ers. Tigers in action tonight against San Francisco. Got to talk some college football. A lot of college basketball action going on throughout the day today. First game started at 10 a.m. Last game ends with Memphis and San Francisco tonight at 9 p.m. So a lot to get into over these next 3 hours. But, Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing well, and I was at FedEx Forum last night, and it was, boy, they are true to their offensive philosophy.
Yes, they are.
I didn't go Tuesday night, but Tuesday and Wednesday night, the threes were raining down. And unlike Tuesday night, last night they were going through the net. 43 threes. This is not my big number. It could be. 38 threes Tuesday night, 43 last night.
Crazy. But night and day difference with, Tuesday, nothing falling, and last night, a lot
19.
more falling, yes. So, understandable why they won the game last night.
You know my rushing numbers and all that rigmarole
right.
in college football? I'm just going to say, you make 19 threes, I bet you win a lot of times.
You feel really good about it if you can knock down that many threes. And, Grizzlies were able to do it last night, and, now a win, and I think schedule gets easier from here. So, I think you liked what you saw last night.
I did. In the last 3.5, 4 minutes,
it got a little squirrely, yeah.
But they landed the plane, and they got it safe. They got it safely on the tarmac and to the gate. Now, that's all that matters. And 16 of 16 from the free throw line. But with this pace last night, this is really rare for an NBA team to be this mistake-prone, turnover-prone. 20 turnovers for the Grizzlies.
Yeah. And, that's something I've noticed, a lot of turnovers lately. I mean, the game, I guess Tuesday night's game, Jaren Jackson Jr., 7 turnovers by himself. And a lot of that was him trying to kind of will them back into the game in that second half, trying to, force
too
stuff.
much.
Yeah. But, still, those turnovers. But, with that pace, with how fast you're running, you're going to get some turnovers, and it's just – can you limit those and in turn make shots? And they were able to do that last night.
I'm not going to do the numbers, and I bet you Ross and the staff at the Grizzlies don't want to send any. I mean, even the newest intern doesn't want to do these. But I would bet you 81 threes, the most ever in back-to-backs, maybe even in a 2-game stretch. If you week off might be the most.
It's a lot, and we were told it all throughout the off season and preseason is this offense is going to look different. It's going to be a lot more threes than you're used to, and probably that you're comfortable with. But and we've seen it. I mean, we've seen this kind of 2-game stretch play out all year, where some games they're going to be falling, some games they're not going to be falling, and so I think the biggest question is you got to live with it. And what do you do on nights when it's not falling? How do you answer? Like on Tuesday night, when the threes aren't falling, how can you answer and adjust and still be able to go out and win those games?
Great question, and that's going to play out over the course of the year, and we're gonna watch it. We're gonna get definitive proof of it.
Yeah, we are, and that's almost the beauty of the 82-game schedule is you learn a lot throughout the season.
I have never been the biggest Paul George fan. I liked it when Dan Dockich started cracking on him back in Indianapolis about playoff P. I mean, he just really does nothing come playoff time. But it was sad to see him injured after finally kind of getting back, and it might be more downtime for him now.
Yeah, you hated it. The kind of same injury he was just out with left knee hyperextension, and so you don't want to see that. I mean, we were talking yesterday about this, and it ended up being, we didn't know during the show if it was going to be, but it was the first time that their 3 stars played together this season. And, they go out there, and then you lose one of them, and Paul George, he goes out, only plays, I think, 17 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 17 minutes for Paul George. And then, late in that game, you kind of had a Joel Embiid scare where him and Jaren goes up with a layup, and those knees kind of banged against each other, and he immediately starts waving over for a trainer, and I kind of held my breath for a second.
That wasn't the play that he tripped over Jaren, was it?
No. It was so Jaren.
And Jaren did not trip him on purpose.
No.
He did not.
No.
And if he had, I would say he did.
Sure, absolutely.
But I don't think he. But I don't think he did not. I don't think he raised the leg. I mean, he was down and he tripped over him.
Exactly. And so, no.
Boy, and that's a lot of big man going down, too.
And both of those guys,
MB.
That's a lot of size. But, no, the play that he got injured on, it was Jaron got the ball, kind of tried to rip through and went up. And when he went up, the knees collided with each other. And, that type of knee-to-knee contact, sometimes it's nothing, sometimes it is something, and guys miss games with it. But Joel kind of went, they called a timeout. He got looked at by a trainer and then immediately came back out. So it really, thankfully for 76ers, wasn't a big deal.
Brian, I promise you I was there. Maybe I need to concentrate more. I missed that play, and I missed the Paul George injury play.
Well, it was the Joel Embiid was very quick. I mean, if you it was, I mean, you saw it, and on television they made a point to kind of go back and show it because he immediately kind of started waving. They call a timeout, and immediately from the timeout he's back out on the court. So if you weren't like really paying attention and kind of seeing it slowed down, you had no idea it happened probably because of how the timing went, where it was a timeout right after that, and then he came back in like nothing happened afterwards.
I think I do probably need to concentrate more and stay off my phone more at games. You used to, that wasn't a problem, wasn't a distraction. And we didn't have anything near the resolution of the replay and jumbotrons. There's a lot of distractions.
There's a lot going on.
I need to concentrate better. I'm self-scouting, a little self-analysis, a little self-criticism.
Nothing wrong.
Anything.
Nothing wrong with a little self-analysis.
Get in the game.
Look alive. In the game. Look alive. I'm sure, probably chatting with some people and, just
eating, carrying on.
Enjoying the game. Why not?
I mean, need to go watch a game. That's what I was there for.
That's right. You're there to watch it, but at least you saw a win. That's all that matters.
2-0 for me this year.
Well, look at that. Maybe you need to go to more games. I don't know.
Well, I will start that when I get this football monster behind me.
That is a really good point. Well, so the Grizzlies get a win last night. Now it's the Tigers' turn.
It is
tonight on the road against
biggest test of the year.
Yeah, against San Francisco, a semi-road game is what I saw it described as because they're playing in the Chase Center, but still obviously in San Francisco. This is a big game for the Tigers.
Well, 5 times the Dons of San Francisco have played with Chase Center being home. They're 3-2 in those games. They're going for 4-2 tonight. So it's more of a home for them than for Memphis. I can remember when San Francisco came here for the 94-95 season. It ended up a really good year for Larry Finch and the Tigers that year. And I was really excited to go and see, Bill Russell's alma mater. Because, Brian, I promise you, I was not alive when Bill Russell and Casey Jones were starring for the San Francisco Dons.
Why, that's, get confused sometimes, I guess.
No, there's no confusion. They were doing that 5 and 6 and 7 years before I arrived.
Well, that's good, but still went and saw them. And what happened in that game when they visited Memphis?
Tigers won, and that was the fall portion. That was the 94 part of the 94-95 season. Tigers won at the Pyramid, and that ended up being a Sweet 16 team for the Tigers with Lorenzen Wright, Mingo Johnson, David Vaughn, Chris Garner, that crew, and the heartbreaking overtime loss up in Kansas City to Arkansas later that year in the Sweet 16. That would have gotten them to the Elite Eight, and I think they would have defeated Virginia without the overtime, maybe double overtime loss up at Kansas City. I know overtime, but Mingo Johnson, he had 32 in that game. But the Tigers go to the Final Four that year. They were really peaking at the right time that year.
Yeah, and so this is going to be a good test for the Tigers as they kind of make their way to Maui. And this San Francisco team 4-0. They've played one more game than the Tigers, and had a test early in the season against Boise State at home. They won that by 11 points. But other than that, have played a lot of nothing. And so this will be another big test for them and a big test for the Tigers as well.
Did you see last night in the American where in back-to-back years UALR's defeated Tulsa?
Is that right?
Darrell Walker got the win last night. I was texting him late. He was sky high over it.
I believe it. No, that's a good win for him.
Back-to-back years, and immediately he's back-to-back years over TU.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I pulled that game up, and they were in the first half, and I watched probably 6 or 7 minutes of it. I like his team this year. He's got a good team.
Well, and his best player's kind of out right now.
Yeah.
We'll be out a while, but tonight in San Francisco, that's going to be fun. And all this basketball today, hasn't it been great, Brian?
It's been great. It's been fantastic. And got to see the team Memphis just got done playing, Ohio. They played Middle Tennessee earlier today.
They handed the game to Middle.
They sure
had
did.
it won in regulation. Middle got to overtime and closed them out.
Yeah, that was a fun game. The Drake pulling the upset over Miami was a lot of fun. That was in that same 11 o'clock window. Miami.
Old Missouri Valley Conference brethren of the Tigers. Drake Bulldogs.
That's right.
True or false? Drake's been to a Final Four.
Very true, Brett.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. I got to quit asking you that one. You're getting these down, too.
I mean, I'm starting to figure things out. As I get older, I get wiser, they say, Brett.
True or false? Tulsa ever been to a Final Four?
False.
Very false. Very good.
All right, two for two today, Brett. That's a good start.
I saw Tulsa get to the Elite Eight in 2000 down in Austin, though, with Bill Self as coach.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it is.
Long time ago. Tulsa's not gotten anywhere close to that.
Trust me, everything with me feels like a long time ago.
Well, I don't know about that, but no, I do. One thing I do love, and I meant to look up kind of what the rest of the field looks like in terms of who they play going into Maui. But I know, like, North Carolina, their last game before Maui is the University of Hawaii.
Yeah.
I believe
UConn really hadn't been tested.
UConn hadn't been tested. I remember looking in the offseason at kind of what those teams were facing before they started in Maui, and I'm pretty sure the Tigers were far and away the toughest test going into that tournament.
I think it's the Memphis Tigers 1, maybe Auburn 2.
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I would say probably Auburn second. I'd have to look and see what everyone's facing before, but
we'll do Tiger Bankroll after we have Greg Gaston on.
Yeah, we'll have to, and that line has been kind of all over the place. It opened. Jason Munns reported last night as San Francisco -1.5, and then late last night when I was looking at it, it had already flipped to Memphis -1.5. I haven't looked at it any today, but that line kind of moving around a little bit.
I sent it to Darian and Connor as San Francisco -1.5.
Wow, so maybe it's flipped back. I don't know.
Well, you're breaking news to me. I don't know that I had checked on it today.
Interesting. Let's see. Let's do a live.
Let's do a
live look and see.
We don't have to wait for the newspaper. 1.5 San Fran.
Okay, so it's flipped back to San Francisco. Wow. So this line quite literally has been all over the place.
Over under 155.5.
Okay, so I like it. That's going to be a tough one to pick. I'm curious where everyone else lands. I'm curious what I'm going to pick myself because I don't think I've really figured it out yet, Brad. I'm kind of
FAU staying with Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, FAU and Oklahoma State. I don't know how good Oklahoma State is this year.
I don't either.
I kind of like this FAU team.
I can feel it, say I do, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I haven't really watched them this year. I think I watched them in their first game against Green Bay, but I haven't watched them
think people know when you're fibbing, so there's no need in doing it.
Yeah, no. Why bother, honestly? Just, if you don't know, you don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
College basketball season's young.
Very young, Brett. Very young. I mean, when we're talking about teams only playing 3 games, what do you really know about these teams?
I did watch some earlier at South Florida and Portland, and the announcers did a good job of really talking. Really, just how heartbroken and grief-stricken they still are.
Oh, yeah.
And just, thunderstruck with what has occurred.
I mean, it's awful. And, I mean, even this whole season is going to be plagued by that for that team. And, I mean, you got to imagine we remember that team from last year and what they did and, nobody.
One of the stories of the year.
Absolutely. And just, nobody knew a single player on that roster before the season started. And now.
Only you knew the coach.
Well,
his Kennesaw background.
A great coach and what he did at Kennesaw. But, that team turned into a big story. And then all those guys left. That was kind of the story late in the season. Is he going to be able to bring back this roster? And he wasn't. A lot of those guys left. And so, I mean, quite literally, most of the guys that are playing big-time minutes for this team were recruited this offseason to come to USF.
They're there because of him.
By him. Yes, he was the one. Come on, we've got a plan. We've got this. And then, from that point, we're talking, spring, late spring, early summer. He's getting those commitments and getting them on the books and signed. And then before the season even starts, he's gone. And so I can't even imagine being in that program and what that's got to be like. But, they're up right now by 11 on Portland. And so it feels like they're still going to have that same fight he had. They're going to carry that on. I know that's a big emphasis for them this year.
But it is college basketball, wall to wall.
Sure is.
Brian has said every year, starting right now with Feast Week and the college basketball, really through the Monday night football on December 2nd, about every waking moment you turn on the television, there's sports on.
Oh, it's awesome. And, I even, next week you really get into it where you've got some games starting at 9:30 in the morning. I mean, a little breakfast and basketball. Who doesn't love that?
A lot of food, a lot of ball.
Yeah, a lot of food, a lot of ball. I mean, tomorrow night, you've got I just mentioned North Carolina and Hawaii playing tomorrow night. That game doesn't tip off. It's supposed to tip off. It could be a little later, 11:30 at night. So, I mean, we're talking
tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
That was going to have to happen without me.
Yes, you have a big day the next day, so I don't blame you on that. But we're going to talk a lot of college basketball today. We're going to talk a lot of college football, some NBA, a little bit of everything. We also got to preview some Thursday night football at some point, probably around 5:30 during What's Trending. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He'll join us. We'll talk some college football with him. We'll get his reactions to the college football playoff rankings, the games last week, some of the games this week. We'll do that in our next segment. 3:45, talk more about the Grizzlies and their win last night over the 76ers, what they did well, what they struggled in. And we got to see some Cam Spencer minutes last night as his first game.
Significant.
Yeah, very.
Minutes.
9 minutes on the court last night. His first game back off of the injury report. They throw him in there, and I thought played some good minutes when he was called upon. So we'll talk more Grizzlies at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He'll join us. We'll talk NBA with him. A lot to get into with the NBA season really getting going. 4:30, Doug Kazarian from OnlyPlayers.com out in Vegas. He'll join us. We'll get some picks for the weekend from Doug, maybe even a Thursday night football play from him. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us to talk Tigers. 5:30, we'll get to What's Trending. And at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Reminder, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. It's the Ultimate Game Room and Fall Sale. Complete the Ultimate Game Room with a new pool table, shuffleboard, and arcade game. Help them clear out their overstock of theater seating. It's all priced to move. It's also perfect fire pit weather, and at Family Leisure, all fire pits are 20 to 30% off. And don't forget about the spas. Spas up to $1,500 off of their in-stock, and they're ready for delivery. So head out to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
We're Sportstime, and we're with you live, local, and late breaking until 6 o'clock. We want you to be a part of our show at 901-360-8255 at the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear at the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Landon Schmidt, Bryant Dacus, and Brett Norsworthy with you until 6 o'clock. And this hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Happy holidays from everyone at Lexus of Memphis. Great offers on all the 2025 models, the remaining 24s, and always special leasing options. Driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day, it's got to be Memphis versus San Fran tonight at the Chase Center. A big game. It's on ESPNU, and for the Tigers, the non-conference slate really gets tough starting tonight. San Francisco, I think, a really good team. They haven't been really tested. You go and you look at their KenPom, and first game faced number 258 in KenPom. Third game faced 283 in KenPom. Third game faced one of the worst teams in college basketball, Chicago State, currently ranked 353 in KenPom. So they haven't really been tested this year, but their one test this season, they aced it, facing off against Boise State, who's currently 35 in the KenPom rankings. They won by 11 points. The Tigers come in at 37, so KenPom at least thinks Memphis, Boise State around the same. We'll see what San Francisco can do in what KenPom is calling a semi-home game, for the Dons at the Chase Center. This is a team that defends well, but also have guys that can light it up. Their leading scorer right now, a freshman, Tyrone Riley the fourth, has been lighting it up, almost 20 points a game. They've got 3 other guys averaging 10 points or more. Those are the 4 stars. Then their 5th starter, a 7-foot center. So it's going to be a challenge for this Tiger team. But when you look at what the Tigers have done this season, it's been really, really strong second halves. I think we saw in that first game against Ohio, a little bit of that spark kind of lingered into the start of the game. They started out well. Ohio kind of made a comeback there late in the first half, and then in the second half, they really put them away. I want to see, we talked to Matt Infield a couple weeks ago, and he said, love seeing the strong 20 minutes in the second half, but let's get a strong 35 minutes. Let's stretch that out into the first half, and we'll see if we see that tonight. This backcourt for the Tigers are going to go out there and put up points for you. They've shown so far early in the season they're one of the better backcourts in college basketball. What can the front court do? We know fouling has been an issue. The depth has been somewhat of an issue to start the season, but we'll see what they can do. I think a great test and a good game to get started before they get to Maui, when the competition is going to be the toughest they'll see all season.
My top story, can you believe it? It's the next to last weekend of the regular season in college football. We'll have the championship games in a few weeks, but this week and next week, that's it for college football regular season. It gets going tonight in the ACC with NC State at Georgia Tech. Not a lot on the line there. Maybe bowl eligibility for NC State, and a good season turn into even better season for the Ramblin' Wreck. Tomorrow night, Barry Odom and UNLV in a big one. But Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday morning, college football will have team seasons on the line. Elimination for a lot of teams. They'll play next week, but a lot of them it won't mean as much next week, and they'll be going to a meaningless bowl if they get beat this week, whatever they do next week. And all the bowls, if you're not in the playoffs, all the bowls feel like it's like that now. But it's playoffs or bust for a lot of teams, and the seasons will be ruined. Indiana at Ohio State, Wake at Miami, Ole Miss at Florida, SMU at Virginia, and that's just the 11 o'clock games. Then the afternoon window on Saturday, Kentucky at Texas. You have Penn State at Minnesota. You have Arizona State playing BYU. You then have Colorado playing in the afternoon at KU. And then at night, also Army at night. You have Army and Notre Dame. They are at night. Bama and OU, A&M down on the plains at Auburn. Saturday will be a lot of fun watching, and it'll be seasons made and ruined.
Mm-hmm.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, it's got to be what the Grizzlies were able to do last night against the 76ers. 117-111 win for the Grizzlies, and for most of that game, they were in complete control. It got a little scary at the end. 76ers sparked late and made it close, but the Grizzlies were able to complete that game and secure the win. So they avoid falling back to 500, and congratulations to Taylor Jenkins on becoming the winningest head coach in franchise history. Most wins secured for Taylor Jenkins with that win over the 76ers last night. It was a great game from Jaren Jackson Jr. I mentioned in that game Tuesday night, 7 turnovers for him. He was trying to force a lot in that second half, but only 2 turnovers last night for the big man. He continues to dominate. 25 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 8 for 15 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. You saw Desmond Bane, after his 1 for 10 shooting performance on Tuesday, bounce back, 8 for 18, 21 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. He was doing a little bit of everything, and then having 3 guys be able to come off the bench and get into double figures. Santi Aldama with 12, Jake LaRavia with 11, Luke Kennard with 12. I thought a really, really solid game. And then on the other side, things are starting to look like they're going from bad to worse for the 76ers. You have 2-11 going into last night's game, now 2-12, and then Paul George goes out with injury. 17
And Embiid
minutes last
angry
night.
and everything.
Yes, Embiid after the game saying he did not like that that what happened in their players-only media somehow got leaked to the media and that everyone's talking about it now. So it sounds like the 76ers are a mess right now. So good for the Grizzlies to get that win. We'll talk about it a little more. But now the schedule gets a little easier. You know, your next 4 or 5 games of your next 6 are at home. So you get a little bit of a break there. We'll see if they can capitalize on it.
My not top story, and the only reason I picked it as not, is because it's kind of the undercard for the rest of this 4-game road trip for the Memphis Tigers, but a big start to the long 4-game road trip tonight in San Francisco against the Dons, the king of college basketball in the 50s, with Bill Russell and K.C. Jones. This San Francisco team won't be confused with the back-to-back champs from the 50s, but they are 4-0 with wins over Cal Poly, Boise State, Long Beach State, and Chicago State. That's a lot of states that really aren't states, isn't it?
Great point, Brett. Wow, what an observation by you.
I didn't know
I didn't even think about that when I was looking at it, but you're absolutely right.
I saw the Dons here at the Pyramid in 1994-95 season. Tigers 2-0 all time against them. They beat them in 94-95, and the Tigers beat them in 71-72. That was a great Larry Finch Jr. team. He was a junior that year, Don Holcomb's senior year, and that was the year they got robbed by the tiebreaker in the Missouri Valley that I won't go into because it makes me angry when I think about it. It makes me think so fondly of the late, great Gene Bartow.
Oh,
Boy, he was irate. You could just mention it to him years later. He'd go crazy.
I don't blame him. I really don't. I do think it should be a good game tonight in San Francisco for the Tigers. Well, I'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we're talking some college football with Bill Bender.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet piquilla peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger-buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
What gift are you going to get that person that's impossible to shop for? Give the gift of sound. JLab has the perfect gift for anyone with a variety of styles, sizes, and colors. And they have products for under $100, under $50, and even under $25. I love that. Save up to 60% on select JLab products this holiday season on JLab.com. Look for the JLab blue box at retailers everywhere or visit JLab.com today.
Bobby J's ready to start the season of tradition in Gossett Kia on Covington Pike, and that means it's the right time to let Bobby J put you in a new Kia today. 2025 Kia K4 LXS at $199 a month, less than $7 a day for a new ride. And 2024 K5 $269 a month, both $34.99 due at signing. All 24-month lease plus spacious 8-seater SUV, high towing capacity, and all-terrain tires in 2025. Tell you ride $348 a month, $39.99 due at signing. Plus, get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J and let him put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Acquisition fee K4 LXS SEO 29100 MSRP 24230 Telluride RG 529 196 MSRP 41730 K5 S53 23133 MSRP 28330 must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Valid through 12/2/24.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still trying to sort out a couple of wrecks we had out here earlier. It's building at times. Certain sections in the Midtown area. It looks good right now as we check it out live on 40 in both directions over here up by Chelsea in the Midtown area. Not bad as you travel south of Memphis, but it did try to get a little bit busy a few minutes ago. Southbound on 55, traveling down through South Haven. Hey, don't miss Pet's photos with Santa this year. It's called Deck the Paws. It starts December 7th at 10 a.m. For more information on this, log on to memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sports Time is Bill Bender, national college football writer for the Sporting News and on Twitter X at Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Brian and Brett.
Bill Bender joins us now from the Sporting News to talk some college football. We do it every week at this time with him. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get into. We got to talk about those games from last week, games coming up this week, but I want to start off with the college football playoff rankings earlier this week, how they were laid out. It feels like, Brett and I have talked about this, feels like Tennessee fans were the ones that took their turn to be outraged by the rankings this week. What did you make of the rankings and of the outrage you've seen this week from various fan bases?
I mean, it's expected. I mean, yeah, one of these SEC teams is probably going to get squeezed out, and you have 5 teams looking for 4 spots, and then when they don't get one of those 4 spots, they look where they could possibly get in, and the 2 logical places are 1, Indiana, if Ohio State can handle it, and 2, Notre Dame, who has a lot in Illinois, and I think that's where the arguments are going to start.
Talked all week about Indiana having to stay close and they can't afford to get slaughtered, and we just kind of mail it in that Ohio State's going to handle them. Let me throw this at you. Let's say Indiana goes to the horseshoe and pulls the upset. Then would Ohio State be in the 2-loss misery club with the SEC teams?
Yeah, they'd be right there in the mix, and they'd have to sell it, and they could sell it with a 1-point loss to Oregon. And the victory against Penn State, which some people aren't wild about Penn State, even that year. But I just experience, Brett, Ohio State probably wins that argument. Yeah, I mean, they won that argument in the 4-team era. So I think they would win it in the 12-team era as well. But, again, that's why we got to go play this game on the field. I know there's a lot of meditated outcomes, but I literally think we have to see it on the field, because I was talking to somebody today, a 14-point win can look very different depending on how the game flow was.
That's right. And for the record, I fully expect Ohio State to win the game and to win win it 14, 17, 20 points. But just, we really, I don't think Indiana, every compliment's been kind of backhanded the great job that Signetti did. And I promise you, you were at it. At Big Ten Media Day, we started the show that day. Brian and I started that day. I went, man, who made Kurt Signetti so mad this summer? Mm-hmm. He was breathing fire at that and almost telling everybody, I'm going to be good this year. Look out for us. And he was right.
Yeah, I remember that, and kind of remember not rolling my eyes, but, you're in your rhythm during the time, and you're like, well, I guess he has to say that because he's coaching at Indiana. But he has – I like the way you put it, the backhandedness of it is he has done a fantastic job. Play a quote unquote like power program. This is it. This is that test. It's at Ohio State. I mean, they haven't beat them since 1988, so it's a long time coming if they can get it. And in a season like this, where some of those things have happened, it could happen. And for Ohio State, they had an injury happen at the absolute worst time. This Seth McLaughlin losing their center to a torn Achilles 3 days before the game. I don't think we can underestimate the impact that's going to have on an offensive line that's dealt with that all season.
Yeah, that's a good point. Bill, I'm curious, Lane Kiffin made some comments earlier this week that has made headlines. He said that he had heard from other coaches that they'd rather just not be in the SEC championship game because of what that could mean if they go to the championship game and they lose, and that's an additional loss. What could that mean for their chances at the playoffs? What did you make of that comment, and do you think sometime in the next couple of years we see a push to maybe eliminate conference championship games?
I think they should be eliminated. I don't think there should. I mean, they're obsolete in this format. I get it. I know how much the SEC championship means. I get all that, But in this format, when you have coaches, if the coaches are having that conversation, then they shouldn't be playing the game. Like, plain and simple. If we're going to penalize the loser based on an accomplishment that other teams didn't get, and then we're going to say, well, you're not in the playoff. If all else is the same, it's another data point. I wouldn't play the games personally. Now, some people disagree with me. They think that you have to have an invitation. This can't be an invitational. It has to have some merit to get into the contest. And I'm like, that's what the regular season is for. We have 12 data points to do that. And, I grew up in a Big Ten where they didn't have a Big Ten championship game, and they used to have to figure out the Rose Bowl by, some weird tiebreakers anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sure did. It would get weird on a lot of the tie breaks, including if you tied kind of the team that hadn't been the most frequently, they got priority over other teams. We're visiting with Bill Bender on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. All right, I know this weekend what losing does, but for a couple teams, including Ole Miss, including maybe one-loss Penn State, but more the two-loss teams, maybe even one-loss Texas, do you need to win with style points this week? I mean, could Ole Miss, could they get punished if they just won 21-20?
Maybe, but I think they just need to get in, get out, and get a win. And I think that victory against Georgia, because the order I look at things, I was also talking about this earlier today. I look at it in three steps. I look at who you played. Schedule's got to be, like Georgia, for example. I give them credit for the schedule they've played. To get through that with 2 losses is impressive. Step 2, who you beat. And for Ole Miss, that win against Georgia is going to count, and they've got through a tough schedule. Then the third separator for me is who you lose to. Kentucky, that was a bad loss for Ole Miss, and then 4 would be how you play. How did you play last week? We all do that. I'm guilty of that, but I think Ole Miss would be in good shape. That is an improved Florida team that played with a lot of spirit against LSU last week. Swamp looked like the Swamp, so. I mean, I think that alone, Ole Miss better be ready to go.
Swamp did look like the Swamp last week. The fade by LSU, Brian Kelly, he's not in any job. His job is not in jeopardy, but the honeymoon's over, and him being kind of the next LSU coach naturally in line after Saban, Miles, Orgeron to win one, that's definitely in doubt.
Yeah, but I mean, that's life in this new conference, too. I mean, Brian Kelly's a good football coach, but I think Brian Kelly, we hyper-focus on the shareable moments, the viral moments, the yelling at a football. I got good news for everybody. Coaches yell at football players. It happens on every campus everywhere. It's just camera happens to catch him and does a pretty good job of reading his lips. I think, they've got work to do. There's no doubt. And I think LSU, still a solid football team, but next year that's going to amp the pressure on him. The people I've talked to said he's not on the hot seat. It's just going to increase pressure for next season. And as you guys know, fit matters in college football, and that's always been one of the knocks ever since, Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for LSU.
And next year he opens at Clemson at the other Death Valley, goes to Ole Miss, and goes to Alabama.
Yeah, that won't be easy. And, they are a solid football team. They've got good players. I think for him, it's just these close games, closest losses to USC, have the loss last week where it just kind of unraveled on them. And, their season effectively probably ended in the fourth quarter against Alabama when Jalen Milroe went off for that 80-yard touchdown run.
Mm-hmm. Colorado, big game for them this weekend on the road against Kansas. If they win these next two games, they'll be in that conference championship. But these two games, I think a lot of people view them now a lot differently than they did before the season. Both Kansas and Oklahoma State, a lot of people are very high on them in the Big 12. Their seasons have not lived up to it. But on the other side, Colorado has. What have you made of what Colorado has done, and can they get through these next 2 weeks unscathed?
I mean, we're going to find out. I think Colorado's got a solid team. They're crushing people in the last month. They've won their last 4 games by an average of 18 points per game. Hard to doubt anybody's playing that well, and they have. For the Buffs, that there is no margin for error. They're up against the Kansas team this week that will be upset-minded. Jayhawks have played really well the last 2 weeks. They look like the team we thought we were going to get at the beginning of the season. But this Colorado defense, for all the Shador and Travis, that defense is pretty good. They've been stopping the run. They've been getting after the passer. Deion has a pretty good team. And, Brian, I think right now, if you had to ask, I'd tell you right now, I think Colorado's going to win the Big 12.
Wow.
Boy, it'll make for the playoffs being really, really fun. Do you see a blockbuster upset this weekend? We're calling it spoiler weekend this weekend, and next weekend misery for life if the rivals derail teams that look like they're headed to the playoffs. There's a lot of different teams like that. But can Army pull the upset at Yankee Stadium?
I don't know that they can. One I like, though, in Army, I think they're going to have to limit Notre Dame's possessions and try to make that a 21-14 game, and it'll be a fun one, probably a quick one, but the way that both those teams run the football. Auburn. Got my eye on that one. Short line. Auburn's defense has played well the last 4 games. They do a good job stopping the run, 75 yards rushing per game the last 4 weeks. They do a good job of limiting efficiency for quarterbacks, 60% the last 4 weeks, less than that, about 56.8. You guys know that. You live down there. Every November they pull a weird one on us and win or lose, and I think this is the one where they could potentially beat Texas A&M on Saturday.
Great minds think alike, Bill Bender. Today I joined Jocks at 12:30, and my I ain't scared lock of the weekends, Auburn straight up plus the 2.5 on the Plains against A&M. That line's been too goofy all week.
I didn't like it from the start, and whenever you see a line like that, you kind of say, "Okay, why is it doing that for that team and that team that it looks funny for?" I'm right with you, Brett.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's going to be a fun one. Well, Bill, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We're off next week for Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll catch back up with you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll do it on Championship Week. You guys have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for having me on. I'll talk to you then.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. Boy, and the whole world will really change by the time we talk to some of these Thursday and Friday guests again the next time. Look, the world's going to change next week with all your family and friends coming in. You're going to need a lot of food, and I know everybody's going to have the traditional Thanksgiving fare. But Greg Gass and I ate lunch yesterday at Jason Deli, and I saw by the big trays. I mean gigantic trays of strawberry shortcake going out for lunch places yesterday at lunchtime, and get that for desserts, other things. You're going to eat something different on the night before, and maybe even a day or two after the leftovers. Get a little bit done. Keep Jason's Deli in mind for all that, all the soups, all the breads, all the cheeses, all the spreads, all the healthy food that's good and good for you, whether you're dining in, getting it to go, or having it delivered. It's wholesome food forever. It's a family thing. Over 200 Memphis area associates in this Jason's Deli group. They wish everybody out there a happy Thanksgiving, and thank you so much for all the great shopping and customers through the years. They love serving you, and they appreciate all the diners through the years at this Jason's Deli Group. Locations across from MUS, over at Park Place, by the University of Memphis, at Poplar and Highland, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, and it is healthy. First franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. They were on the health kick long before a lot of other people got on it. If you're seeking a gluten-free menu, they have it. Vegetarian sandwiches, they have it. Healthy kids meals. You'll be delighted at Jason's Deli, and in every location, you can count on that great salad bar. Over 30 items for you to build it however you would like, prepare it however you would like. That's what Greg had yesterday at lunch. Bryant couldn't join us, so he could have had that, but he'll join us next time. Catering anytime, anywhere, and also complimentary free ice cream in all the great locations. There's one close to you, over in Park Place, by the U of M, at Poplar and Highland, out in Cordova, and down in Olive Branch. And check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Well, let's get to a break. When we come back, we got to talk about the Grizzlies and their win last night over the 76ers. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory they've got to move because you know what season is coming up. So why wait? You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstocked and priced to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits, and all fire pits at Family Leisure are 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Well, say no more. Spas are in stock and they're ready for delivery and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for a very limited time. So come on, check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
The holidays are almost here again, and whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's, I have sold homes on all of them and even more. This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, and find that many people do move during this time of year. Being involved with a major relocation network, we see a lot of people moving into the Memphis area as the holiday season doesn't stop them, nor does it stop people who are just now beginning to start their home search. A couple of things you should remember. Waiting until spring when the azaleas bloom, so do the real estate signs, which means more competition. Before you list your home with someone, you should always talk to 2 to 3 real estate brokers and just make sure that I am one of them. Find out why they say that when you want the job done, call Shell Done. And yes, I may be the worst golfer in town, but I have a highly successful strategic marketing program that gets it done. Call or email me at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com. That's Shell Done at 483-0546 or memphisrelocate.com.
Looking for an engagement ring that'll really knock her socks off? You need to be at Genesis Diamonds.
It's such a privilege at Genesis Diamonds for us to work with the world's finest designers, to be able to offer brands like Tacori and Verragio, and we're excited to be able to give you something that
Genesis Vice President David Cooper.
The craftsmanship, the detail, the quality, the individuality is bar none better than anything else.
Genesis has been selected as an exclusive provider for every top designer from New York and California, with over 4,000 names to choose from. And if that's not enough, they can create something that's truly one of a kind.
We can custom craft you literally anything you can imagine. We have the capabilities to realize any dream you have. Things that other stores may call new, we've been doing for 3, 4, and 5 years already.
So don't settle for a mediocre style design.
You deserve. I'm
our trusted partner TireRack.com for their fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and their great selection of best tires, like the highly consumer-rated Goodyear Assurance Weather Ready. But did you know they sell other automotive products? Wheels, brakes, suspension, just to name a few. Go to TireRack.com/Colin. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
Oh, I got him on the line. Jason, the main man marshal at Gossett Volkswagen on the pike. What's going on over there?
Hey, Randy, what's going on here is the Sign Then Drive sales event. That means 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, and 0 do-it signing.
Hang on, 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, and 0 do-it signing?
That's right, Randy. And the 2024 Town says 0 down at $337 a month, plus $5,000 off 2024 Pink Editions, and 0.9 for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
Wow, $5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9% for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
And remember, at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike, no reasonable offer will be refused.
That's Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, or online at GossettVWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Sportsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We talked a little bit about the Grizzlies and their win last night to start the show, but let's get back into it. A 117-111 win for the Grizzlies. They improved to 9-7 on the season, 6-3 at home. And Brett, we talked about it to start the show. The difference between Tuesday night and Wednesday night, they were able to make the threes and make their shots last night, 44% from three.
This is Nate Oates in the NBA.
It is, yeah. No, that's the style of basketball that's becoming more popular. You see it a lot
everywhere
in college basketball now, and you're starting to see it take more shape in the NBA.
International, and a lot of these offensive-minded coaches have a lot of background in that. Last night, they did go in, and it was almost like, okay, Embiid, you're going to get yours. We're going to limit everybody else.
Yeah, and
he got his.
Yeah,
he sneezed and got 35.
Yeah. I mean,
he didn't even mean to.
No. I mean, you looked up and you go, oh, Joel Embiid has 35 points. How about that,
Brian? I promise you. I may very well need to pay better attention, but I'm watching closely at this point. And I don't feel like he's done much. I look up, he's got 12.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how dominant
I ain't gotten my seats yet.
Yeah, he's just a dominant player, and dominant players are able to do stuff like that. They're able to make it look very
Also thought
easy.
this last night.
Okay.
Has Reggie Jackson played for every team? He's got to be hitting the point.
He's getting there.
What did we decide? You played for everybody at, 7 teams?
Yeah, I think we
Are
said
we at 7 or 8?
I think we said 6 or 7, yeah. Let's see.
Reggie Jackson has to be getting close, doesn't he?
5.
I'm getting.
So yeah, he's very close.
That can't be true.
That's what it says on
Only
Basketball
5?
Reference. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there too.
OKC, Detroit, Clippers, Nuggets, and now the 76ers. Feels like he's been everywhere. That's for sure.
Sure does. And at one time he was Grizz killer, but no longer.
No, not anymore. I mean, we're seeing kind of the end.
Was he
of Reggie
Grizz
Jackson.
killer, or those years with Oklahoma City and the Clippers? We just had such contempt for both that if anybody walked in the building, we thought they were
probably
anti us.
He was just kind of associated with those teams, especially OKC. So maybe that's where he got it. But no,
maybe so.
No Grizz killer he is now.
Just 5 teams. That's right. Okay.
Just 5. It's hard. It's a little hard to believe.
Feels like I've seen him with 15.
Yeah, it
Like
feels
the other
like
guy, Kelly. I can't be wrong on both of these. I'm gonna find a player till I'm right. Kelly Oubre feels like he's been on a lot of teams and been in a bunch of trade discussions with a lot of teams.
Only 5 as well.
Unbelievable. I'd have lost a lot of money on both of those.
5 is that middle ground, Brett. It's just,
I guess so.
It feels
soon
like
to
they've
be
been
with
to a lot.
everybody.
Yes, and
Kelly Oubre and Reggie Jackson.
Kelly
soon to be
Oubre
with
will
everybody.
be
Okay, I was
part
wrong.
of that everybody team because
he's in every trade
he
discussion.
Is. And every time, who should your team go out and get? Kelly Oubre's the name that's thrown out. He's been thrown out for the Grizzlies for years.
But last night, win to get to 9-7. We're kind of back. Are you content or not? Well, that's what it is. Whether we're content or not with it, and as you have said, and we have said, that roadie Saturday to Chicago, and then a bunch of 4 straight home games. Got to feast.
You got to. And you look at those opponents.
Got to be feast week.
At Chicago. Chicago hasn't been great this year. They did beat you at FedEx Forum earlier in the season, so try to go get that revenge on the road. Then you come back, a Portland team that you killed on the road, a Detroit team that, let's be honest, they're still Detroit. They're getting better, but they're still the Pistons. New Orleans has been a mess to start the season. Indiana hasn't been as good as they were last year. This is an opportunity where you really go out there
It really is.
And get these wins.
Last night, let's hope last night was the start of a 5 or 6 game win streak.
That'd be great. If you're on December 3rd, if we're previewing this Dallas game and we're talking about, 5 of your last 6, something like that, wins.
14-7.
Oh,
you take that anytime.
100%. So I think
every 20 game clip you take, or 21 game you take that.
But this is the opportunity you have to pounce because right after that, road against Dallas, home against Sacramento, road against Boston. You do get Washington in there, but then home against Golden State. You get a little bit of a stretch right after this one. That's a lot tougher. So we'll see what they can do. But it is nice, before that road game against Chicago, you do have some days off. Playing last night, not playing again until Saturday. So we'll see what the Grizzlies can do in that road game. But let's go ahead and wrap up this first hour and get to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more NBA. Keith Smith, he joins us every Thursday afternoon. He'll join us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show to talk the NBA. That's next on Sports Time.
Fall is football at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Monday through Friday is happy hour from 3 to 6 with $1 off all draft beers, $5 off well drinks, $4.50 for house wine, and half off pretzel bites, mozzarella sticks, queso, corn dogs, and pickles. Then do Friday night lights from 7 to close. Dine in and buy 12 wings and get 5 regular wings for free. Come watch college football and every pro game on the weekends. All at the Owner's Box Sports Bar and Grill in Lakeland, Town Square. Highway 70, fall is football.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Hey, Marty McNair, I hear it's the signed and drive sales event at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. Hit me with the scoop, dude.
Okay, Randy, how about 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, and 0 do-it signing?
Wow, 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, 0 do-it signing?
That's right, Randy. Plus 2024 Taos S, 0 down at $337 per month.
And I hear you got $5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9% for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
You heard right, Randy. $5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9 for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
Great Scott, McNair, you got it going on at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. You need to get out there and see him. 7420 Winchester Road or shop online, GossettVWG.com. 7,500 miles per year. My rich house. MSRP 26 3 days in license registration fees excludes BS 695 CD for details. Dealer stock only with approved credit.
Iron Eagle
here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Week 12 of the NFL season kicks off with AFC North action between the Browns and the division-leading Steelers. TJ Watt and Pittsburgh are on a 5-game winning streak and coming off a huge victory over the Ravens. Mike Golick will join me for the call from Cleveland of the Steelers and the Browns on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? 'Cause I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. They're still on the scene of this wreck here in the Midtown area on 240 northbound, right there at I-40 where they come together at that Midtown interchange. This is also affecting that traffic on 40 east as you work your way past Danny Thomas. Of course, it's already heavy in the westbound lanes over here on 40 west at Danny Thomas across the Hernando to Soto Bridge. Again, working this wreck in the Midtown area. Lots of flashing lights here slowing it down. Save now during the holiday season at Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show. And on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us now to talk the NBA from Spotrac and the Front Office Show. Keith joins us every Thursday afternoon. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. Last night, Grizzlies got another win, this time over the 76ers. I know we'll talk Grizzlies, but I want to start with this 76ers team because the reports came out, Tyrese Maxey going to be back. It was going to be the first time, and it was the first time, that their three stars played together this season, but in the middle of that game last night, Paul George goes down, the same injury he was dealing with before the season started, that left knee hyperextension. Now he'll be out. It just feels like things are going from bad to worse. We also learned about their players-only meeting where Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid. It sounded like that was okay. They're very close, but then Joel Embiid did not like the fact that that got out to the media. What do you make of this 76ers team right now?
Yeah, it's a complete mess. I mean, and then you got Paul George is out there running his podcast about hey, what do we think about this? While having Reggie Jackson on there, that's just a circus. Like someone needs to tell him, come on, man, let's not do this today. But yeah, it's a mess, right? When you're dealing with the injuries, that's one thing. That everybody deals with that. And you're going to get through that however you get through it. But their challenge is we are now into this, and we have seen that big three of theirs together for, I think it was about 9 total minutes, this season. And I would assume Paul George is probably going to miss some time with this second hyperextension. So we're going to see what that looks like. But, yeah, it's an absolute mess there in Philadelphia.
It's a mess, and it was the same mess that Doc had. It was the same mess that Brett Brown had. It's been over a couple of different coaches now that Joel Embiid has not gotten near an NBA Finals or winning a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is a spot where what we don't know with all of that is, Joel Embiid he's a great player, but at this point, if you're going to get many more than 60 games out of him, I think you feel pretty fortunate. And then I remember we talked about it over the summertime. And when we talked about should they go for Paul George, I said, well, you better be certain you can get those guys on the floor for 60-plus games together, not just each, but like together. And, Tyrese Maxey, that kind of came out of nowhere. We're not expecting injuries for him. But, these other guys, like, it is just a challenge when you look at it with, Embiid and George. They're both going to miss time. They're two of the more injury-prone players in the NBA. And when you invest 2 max contract slots in 2 guys like that, you can't not have them on the floor together. And that's why I, championed all summer long, rather than going Paul George, spread that money around, build a good deep team of really great role players around Embiid and Maxey, and try to win that way. But they chose to go the 3-star route.
They definitely did. For the Grizzlies, still injuries. You had Zach Edey that went out and has been out with another ankle injury. Vince Williams Tuesday night left with an ankle injury as well. John Morant still out. When it comes to Zach Edey, I've started to kind of hear people talk about this. A guy that really did not suffer any injuries throughout college at Purdue now has had a couple of ankle injuries since being drafted by the Grizzlies. Does that raise your eyebrows a little? Any concern there in terms of Zach Edey and those ankles?
No, I don't know whatever agreement was with the NBA when the Grizzlies relocated that it was you can never be healthy. Like, I think that's all it is.
Yeah, it's cursed.
But being serious, no real worries about that one with Zach Edey, because I think what we're looking at here is they're just, that happens sometimes, right? That's the rolled ankles, one of the more common things in basketball. It's, anybody who's ever played the game for any number of times, even if it's only ever played pickup on the playground, every once in a while you're going to roll an ankle. So I'm not worried about that. Now, if it turns into a chronic thing, and we're 3-4 years in, and every year he's missing time with sprained ankles, and then, we'll start to feel a little bit different about it. But for now, it kind of is what it is.
Definitely feels like it. But injury continues to kind of riddle the NBA, and now we've learned this morning Luka Doncic going to miss some time with the Mavericks with a wrist injury. How much does that hurt the Mavericks early this season?
Yeah, big time. It's tough, right? This is a team that, again, hasn't really been healthy. I mean, that's like, I feel like we could just record that and drop it in on almost every team this season. But with Luka Doncic, what you've seen in Dallas is him and Kyrie and P.J. Washington and Derek Lively and now with Klay Thompson. But the core group plus Thompson that made it to the finals last year, we haven't seen it. Like, it just hasn't been together because Lively's missed time, Washington's missed time, now Doncic is out, Irving missed a couple games. So it's been tough. It's a little odd that the guy who's been the healthiest all year there is Klay Thompson. He's just kind of plugging along doing his thing, and I don't know many people who would have said, yeah, he's the one who will play in, all the games. But it's a week. We don't want to overreact to it. It kind of, should be okay. I think the one challenge that we have to keep an eye on, it is his right wrist, and he is right-handed. He's a right-handed shooter. So if that's something that lingers, and sometimes those things linger because guys, it's either we have to shut it down for an extended period of time, or sometimes it even ends up in surgery. And a lot of the guys don't want to do that, and that can become a little bit of a problem.
Keith, Philadelphia's maybe digging too big of a hole real early. There have been a couple years that the Lakers have started like this, and a lot of people are pretty gleeful when they start like this. So to those that are gleeful, I'm talking about me. When they're 10-4, we got to give them credit, and they're 10-4, and they're playing really well, and it looks like they hit on Dalton Connect.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah, I thought LeBron's answer was a little funny, and I thought he also took an opportunity to take a little bit of a shot at the front office. I don't know if you saw it. They asked him, hey, what did everybody else, what did your front office, find in Dalton Connect? And he's like, he didn't find anything. 16 other teams screwed up. So that's just kind of, that's a little passive-aggressive LeBron there while shouting out his guy. But yeah, he's played terrific. I mean, the game the other night was just bonkers. He was making everything, and I thought the quotes after was, hey, everybody knew who the ball was going to except our own guy. Like, that was a good quote there. But I think it's the question I have with the Lakers is LeBron and AD have been healthy so far. Is that going to hold up for those two guys? They played, I believe it was 147 games last year between the two of them. If they can do that again, Lakers are going to be good. They'll probably be a playoff team. And if those guys have what's more likely, they're going to miss, 15, 20 games. If that happens, now all of a sudden it starts to get a little more bumpy for the Lakers because those two guys, as great as Connect has been, and Austin Reeves looks like he's coming out of his early season slump, it's a lot still James and Davis, kind of keying everything. And at their age, you really don't want them to have to be that important to the team.
Of course, with it's the proviso of it's very, very early, and we want to be fair on those fronts on everything, on gauging too much high or low. But do you agree with LeBron to this point that the other 16 made a mistake on Connect?
I'm not going to go as far as say the whole other 16. I don't think he's the best player of the draft class or anything, and that's a little bit of a prisoner of the moment there, right, where people are like, oh, my gosh, look how great this guy is playing. But, Zachary Reese-Shay's had moments. He looks like he's going to be pretty good. I think the bigger takeaway is this draft class, which was much maligned. We basically talked about, well, it's not the Wembanyama class, and it's not the Cooper Flag class. It's just this other one that's kind of in between. And, what a bummer year to have a lottery pick and all those things. I think we're starting to see, all right, there's some guys who can play in here, and it'll be okay. That's how I started to feel as we got closer and closer to the draft, and I did more and more homework. I really felt like, all right, we're getting there with these guys. And I think that's the bigger takeaway I have is, yeah, guys, went where they went, but a lot of these guys can play.
When we saw one of those guys here in Memphis last night, Jared McCain, it feels like maybe he had some injury, some medical stuff early in the preseason, kind of slow out of the gates to start the year, but it looks like that shot is starting to find its rhythm, and he's really finding his spot with that 76ers team, logging the most minutes last night and knocking down a lot of shots.
Yeah, with all due respect to my wife, boy, I have a thing for guards that can rebound. That's my thing right there. And it's, I love when a guard will.
I thought it was my Christmas ornament of Larry Bird. I said.
Yeah, well, that's my forever thing right there. But yeah, if you give me a guard, especially a little guard that's tough and is going to get in there and dig out some rebounds and get in there amongst the trees and play with the big boys. That generally translates into a guy who's going to have some success. Another guy that was Emmanuel Quickly. John Morant, same kind of style of guy, smaller guy, but was never afraid to go inside and, mix it up with the bigger guys. Those guys, they'd almost always translate because, toughness is an intangible, but when you see it, you see it. And that's one of the things I saw with Jared McCain. And Duke can be a tough place, right? Duke, Kentucky, Kansas this year is a great example of it. Some of these teams just have so many guys that it's so hard for any one guy to stand out and really show out the way they've been. Arkansas, under Cal, this year is going to be that way. These guys load up with 10, 12 guys sometimes that can play, and it can be really hard to stand out. And I think that's a little bit what happened with Jared McCain.
Who is the Arkansas player right now this year for John Calipari that at draft time will be the first one taken? That's going to be a fun game to watch, just the Arkansas players coming out in the draft.
It really is. I think right now, we're only a few weeks into the college season, but Adutsi Ario is playing really well, for them. He's really looks solid to transfer. Zonomir Ivicic, also the big guy. He's like 7'2", 7'3", and he's like the modern big man. He can really space the floor. Last year, he was super tentative with Kentucky, and there was a long time to get him. I believe there was an eligibility issue early with getting him going, and they never really saw it. This year with Arkansas, you're seeing it. He looks pretty good. Boogie Flan's a nice player, the freshman guard. They get John L. Davis there as a transfer. He's been a little slow to get going, but he was really good at Florida Atlantic. So it's still going to solve itself here a little bit over the course of the year. I'm very curious to see what does it look like when we get into conference play. And they start playing a couple tougher opponents. But they've got some tougher games coming up, so I'm excited to watch those.
I've started seeing some people trying to tweet out Ace Bailey's going to challenge Cooper Flagg for that number one spot. He had a great game the other night. Now, it was against Merrimack, but he looked really good for Rutgers. Is there a guy that's playing college basketball right now, or maybe an international guy that could challenge Cooper Flagg for that top spot?
Brian, you got to be careful. Merrimack, that's a hometown school for
that's
me.
right,
That's back home
right.
in New England. So we got to watch it. But no, yeah, it's the thing with Ace Bailey. You can just see it at that size, the shot making and the ability to get to whatever shot he wants. It's really good stuff. Like he is really, really special. And there may be a chance. You know, you're going to have somebody, right? There's always someone who's going to be the dissenting voice. There's rarely it's only once every 5 to 10 years that we get a Wembanyama or a Zion, where that's the guy, that's the number one pick. There are, more often than not, there is somebody who they want to have somebody else in there. And if you're going to go with somebody else, Ace Bailey's a pretty good one to go with. He takes these shots that look like they're bad shots, but for him, they go in all the time.
Yeah.
So they're actually not bad. He made against Merrimack, he made a turnaround 3-point shot on the baseline. That was just, and he just smooth and easy and got to where he wants to go. So he's really, really good. Dylan Harper's pretty good on that team, too. With Bailey back, he missed the first couple games. You've now seen Harper split into more of a playmaker role, and it's going to be pretty good over there. But, yeah, it's going to be fun to track these guys this whole year. Now, I'll give you one other name. Don't count out VJ Edgecombe at Baylor. He had a couple tough games early, but he played so well in the Olympic qualifying tournament as a real young guy playing against grown men and NBA players. There's something there. He's going to be a special one, too.
Turnaround 3-point baseline shot, degree of difficulty. He should have gotten 4 points out of that.
Should have.
Yeah, it was. You can find it. It's Adam Zagoria. If you look him up, he does a good job with all the New York schools and prospects. If you look up his timeline on social media, and he reshared somebody's tweet of the shot, and when you see it go up, you're like, oh, what an awful shot, but he just makes them. So then it becomes like, well, sometimes for some guys, these aren't awful shots. This is a lofty, lofty comparison, and I'm not fully there yet, but there's shades of Kevin Durant in his game when KD was in college, where you can kind of see, all right, this guy's legit 6'10", 6'11", and can do stuff off the dribble, and no one can get to his shot because he's so big and he gets really good lift on it.
Keith, are you trying to watch all these afternoon games with one eye on the draft and prospects and then the full night of NBA and writing and coverage?
Yeah, yep. That's exactly what my days look like right now. I love this week because you've got all these early season Thanksgiving tournaments, and it is phenomenal here on the East Coast in Orlando. These games are starting at 11 o'clock noontime, so I'm locked in from then on, all the way through, because this is a great chance to see a lot of guys, all at once. And sometimes, you get to see some guys. It's a little harder to find their games, and you're not getting a full game experience. I'm doing that, yeah. And then once the NBA starts at night, unless it's a real big time, showdown, I'll flip over. But even then, I'll usually tape the college game and go back to it the next day. Because I'll tell you what's killing me watching live college ball. Every game, whoever the former coach or former assistant coach on the broadcast is just killing the transfer portal's ruined everything. And it's like, okay, we talked about it 3 times in the first half. You've already talked about it 3 times in the second half. Just stop. We get it. You don't like it, but for me, I end up putting a lot of these games on mute and just watching it.
Boy, Keith, it's so true. And I tell you, the age group, it's mine. The 50 and up crowd, you run into people and they have to tell you, I'm done with college sports. I'm so mad at college sports. I can't stand it. And then you ask them, who's your team? And almost 100%, they're not investing in the portal or in the NIL and going through the portal. And that's what they're mad about. You would love it if your team was investing in it.
Yeah, 100%. If you're an Arkansas fan, and Cal comes over and he's like, hey, we're going to have a whole team of transfers, and that's how I'm going to build it out. Let's go, right? Let's get these guys, because as long as you can get them to mesh, you're going to be good. You're going to be good right out of the gate. So, yeah, my issue has always been, and will always continue to be, is no one ever bats an eye when a coach jumps,
exactly.
3 times in 5 years. No one ever says anything, but God forbid the kid wants to change their situation, and then it's a huge problem. That's where I've always had that issue. But more with, I don't follow all the college sports, but definitely with basketball and football is, hey, if the coach can go, I've always felt once the coach leaves, all those kids should be allowed a one-time free transfer wherever they want to go. And if they want to go somewhere, they should go. And if they want to follow the coach, that's fine too, because a lot of these guys, we don't want to believe, they signed up to go play at, Alabama or Kentucky or Kansas and, all the tradition and pageantry. But a lot of times they're signing on to play with a coach, and if the coach isn't there, they might still want to be with the coach even if he's the, new coach at Texas or wherever it may be.
And you hit the center of the bullseye with a lot of people I run into. So we just went through it, draft prospects for Arkansas. They may have 4 or 5 go in the first round. Is that right?
It's probably going to be maybe more like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Because a lot of these guys, they'll be drafted, but they're probably going to be, second round types.
So they're going to have 2 or 3 go in the first round, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 go in the second round. And I wonder if their fans think they're there just because of giggles and how beautiful Northwest Arkansas is. Calipari cashed in on it. Football hadn't. They're mad at people that do it in football, but with Calipari, it's all great.
Yeah, I always say you love Cal when he's your coach, and if not, you hate him. Like when he coached UMass, we all thought he was the greatest thing.
No, I hate him
ever
regardless.
hit the state, right? Yeah. Now a lot of people are like, I don't like this guy at all, and it's just tough. But I think what's been really interesting is we've seen him. Right, he used to be Cal, the monster recruiter, right? Where it was, I'm going to pull in, if there's 5 good recruits and I got 5 scholarships, you better believe I got a chance of getting all 5. And now he's starting to play the game a little bit of, all right, you know what, I'll fill 2-3 of my scholarship spots, with freshmen, but then I'm going to go with a couple transfers who can kind of lift us while these guys get accustomed to the college game and they acclimate that way. We can figure it out. So it's just, that's the game in college basketball right now. But yeah, it gets tough to listen to, all the griping about it when it's, all right, it is what it is though. Can we focus on the game on the floor? Because, we're in the meantime of doing a bunch of griping, we're missing some pretty good basketball.
Yeah, that's a good point. Talking to Keith Smith, he joins us every week to talk the NBA from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. We learned over the weekend that Inside the NBA will be moving to ESPN to stay with the NBA games. It's still going to be produced by Warner Brothers, but it is going to be airing on ESPN and ABC. What did you make of this move, and what does this mean for kind of the future of how we consume the NBA on television, with Warner Brothers still going to do all the production, but it being shown on ESPN and ABC?
Yeah, that's the part that I think a lot of people missed is nobody's really moving anywhere from where they were, right? It's also going to be from Atlanta or, they'll take the show on the road. I'm not naive enough to not believe there's going to be some day where they're in the ESPN studio for a night or 2 or something, because they'll do, and they've done those crossovers over the, last few years anyway. But it's this new form of partnership where it is, hey, the big thing we want is the game. All the rest of it, we can figure all that out. And, and ESPN gave them some college games and said, all right, you can have these, broadcasts, and we'll bring these guys over. And it's great for the, the more casual fans. I enjoy Inside the NBA. Once I stopped taking it serious as serious basketball analysis, and it was just, it's just fun, then I started to enjoy it a lot more. And that's kind of what I encourage people to do, because I see all the time, Barkley doesn't even know what team guys are on, and Shaq just says the same stuff. And, yeah, you're right, but they're funny. And people like that, and people want to have fun watching it. So, especially, when it's 1 o'clock in the morning here on the East Coast, and they're up there cracking jokes, it helps you get through the last part of the night when you're wrapping up.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I'm just glad they're still going to be around. I know one of the more popular shows on all of television. Yeah, I mean, it is fantastic. But, Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Some good games coming up, and we'll talk to you again. I guess we're off next week for Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll catch up with you in a couple weeks.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, and have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you so much, and to you and yours, Keith Smith, with us every week. And Brian, now get ready for it, and it's going to be the night of X, or maybe even what's the other one everybody's going to now? Sunshiny Skies.
Blue
what is
Sky.
it?
Blue Skies. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, let me tell you who's not going to Sunshiny Skies, but it's going to be the collective freak out, and they're going to do it. Get ready for it. They're going to merge in, not wholesale, but every now and then as a guest. They're going to have Big Perk. They're going to have Stephen A. And they're going to have ESPN people sit down at that table with
Sure,
them.
sure. And everyone's pushing back on that right now. Nobody wants that. It's been the big pushback already. Do
It's
not
the
let those
preemptive
guys.
freak out, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I mean, nobody wants those guys anywhere near the inside the NBA booth.
I wonder if any of those people have ever appeared even with it at Turner. I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably not, but it wouldn't shock me because we have so much, more cross promotion. There was a time. I'm telling you, the radio station, Bryant, including ours in the early days of this, if you mentioned another station call letters or the number on the dial, you were probably gone.
Wow.
You just didn't do it. It was forbidden. And now you see the cross promotion of, like, especially at NFL playoff time. You'll hear Jim Nantz on CBS, coming up after us, the AFC Championship game on Fox.
Yeah.
Brian, there was a time the world would come to an end if you did that.
Now it's just promote that brand of the shield of the NFL, and
when we're really all business partners.
Definitely, and especially with a brand so big of the NFL. I mean, everybody's going to go watch that game either way, whether you say, here's the preview for it or not. They're going to go and find it.
The casinos down in DeSoto down in Tunica County. I'm sorry, in Tunica County, they hit about 92. I'm going to say around 2000. Maybe I was just dumb and other people knew it long before me. That very well could be the case. But I had a casino big shot down there tell me. He goes, and I don't know what the number was then, 7 or 8, 9 different places down there then. He goes, it's 7 or 8, and they're all under, brand A and brand B and brand C. He said, let me tell you what it really is. It's 1.
Yeah.
He said, we get you down here to B, we got a good shot at you coming to C. If you're at C and you've had enough of them, you're going to come over to D. And he said, we're really 1, and they met all the time, and they knew everybody's, whales, elephants. Just, it's like Doug. I guarantee you Doug Kazarian can confirm every bit of what I'm saying. We better get to Doug Kazarian, so I better quit talking. But before I do that, I want to tell you about Jim's Place Grill. Over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks. And you talking about a fun night out there tonight. Hang out in the bar area, watch the Tiger game, have dinner with friends and people. And next week, when family's in town, go by there, maybe get some of those salads, some of those salad dressings for your event. The Terrace family, with their great touch for our great community recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown and now in Collierville at the railroad tracks at Poplar and Houston Levee. Happy holidays from everyone at Jim's Place Grill. And it's just starting the holiday season. And for your office event, for that big event you want to have for the Christmas event, call them now. Get a hold of them now and get your night and get it settled where you can have the perfect place for the perfect event with all that great food. Every steak grilled perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's Place and taste and see and feel the difference. Since 1921, a Memphis landmark that has combined hard work, values, and a dedication to their great diners. The Terrace family, they've created that memorable, lasting dining experience. The lunch menu, the staples like the souffle ma, the shrimp cocktail, crab cakes, and those salad dressings, all homemade. And at dinner time, the soups, the calamari, the seafood, the hash browns, and the steaks, fillets, ribeyes, and strips. Great bar area for you to enjoy yourself with your friends and with family at Jim's Place Grill in Collierville.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we'll talk some wagering. We'll try to get some picks from Doug Kazarian. He joins us next from OnlyPlayers.com in Vegas.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no-obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Indulge yourself or your loved ones this season with a trip to Sissy's
log cabin.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Grand. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos. And enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Grand.
Faithful holiday season with Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals from Sunrise Chevrolet Buick GMC of Coleman. Choosing 24 GMC Silver 1500 or 24 Silverado 1500 with $4,000 deal discounts. Sunrise Chevrolet Buick GMC of Coleman. We make it fun to buy a car.
Price does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer doc fee of $899.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Silverado RG 355,553, MSRP 57,330, dealer discount 4,002. Sierra RZ 325,360, MSRP 54,330, dealer discount 4,000, expires 12/2/24.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure studios, and joining us now from OnlyPlayers.com out in Vegas, Doug Kazarian joins us now to talk about some of these games over the weekend, college football and the NFL. Doug, thanks so much for joining us. I have heard that you like a handful of games in college, some of them a little kind of off the beaten path of what some people like, which I love. Those are the games that I love to bet on Saturdays.
We like winners. I'm going to go full Mike Singletary on you, Doug.
Yeah, just get some winners. But the first game I'm curious about, because this game, I mean, if you're not wanting to watch this game, do you even have a college football pulse? Charlotte and Florida Atlantic, both teams fired their head coaches. I was upset. I'm a big Biff Poggi guy, so I was upset he lost his job. Saw it coming, though. But right now, Charlotte, a 2.5-point favorite, 3 at some other places. The total at 48.5. What do you like in this one, Doug?
Yeah, I don't understand the line. I'm probably just going to go down with the ship, but Charlotte is clearly the better team. Florida Atlantic's terrible. They're 2-8. Like you said, they fired their head coach, Tom Herman. They're down to their third-string quarterback, and he can barely throw the ball, Sparks. And he's got really is just lost out there in a lot of ways. So the Charlotte team actually has an offense. They just don't have a defense, but I don't think the Owls can really take advantage of it. And if you look at common opponents, things like that, Florida Atlantic is not close to the same level as Charlotte. They beat Wagner, and then they beat FIU. So I'm just not a believer in this FAU team. They went to overtime. Luckily, with Temple, they were actually getting dominated the entire game. I would have made this line 6.5. So I'm going to roll with Charlotte.
And that's both places with coaches on the way out. The reunion, the anniversary of the band on the field, Stanford and Cal, the under 54. Boy, if you had the band that day, or if you had the under that day when the band got involved, you were disappointed. 54, Doug, what do you like in that game?
Yeah, that would have been a really, really bad beat. I might want to look that up to see what the total was that day. I like the under here. Stanford, so this is obviously a rivalry game. We know all that. But Justin Wilcox is an excellent coach for the Bears. but he's really great in the underdog role. You really don't want to lay points of him. So I was looking at Stanford, and there's a lot to like. Cal is only 3-11 against the spread when Wilcox is favored by at least 9, and the line's 14 in this game. But I just don't know what I'm getting with the Stanford team. They've been a little all over the place. There's no way I would consider laying the 2 touchdowns, but I would grab the points from the Cardinal, but I like the under a lot more. When Cal's a double-digit favorite under Wilcox, the under is 6-0-2. There's 70% chance of rain, so it could be sort of a slog fest. And Cal's got a ridiculous turnover margin in their favor. I think that's going to go the other way. There's going to be some regression potentially. I just think Cal peaked too early this season. I think we're going to see a close game and a lower scoring game than the odds suggest.
Another game in the ACC that's interesting, North Carolina and Boston College. You saw Boston College give SMU a scare right after they changed quarterbacks the week before. Castellanos enters the transfer portal. North Carolina on their side, good season for them. Not a great season by any means, but right now North Carolina 3-point favorite. That total at 55.5. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, I was on Carolina last week. I just thought they would dominate Wake Forest, and really they could have covered it. Obviously you're laying double digits. You can't. It is what it is. But this is a classic case of North Carolina got their bowl eligibility win, right? So now they got to go to little old Chestnut Hill, and here's Boston College, which has only 5 wins, and they got a shot. And you mentioned, they've been playing much better with the new quarterback. So they beat Syracuse. They lost to Louisville by only 4. They go to SMU last week, lose by 10, but that's only because the Mustangs scored in the final minute. Or final seconds, I should say. So there's a lot to like with where BC's going. I think there's a huge coaching edge with Bill O'Brien over Mac, who's just getting old, and people are wondering when he's going to leave. And again, I just feel it's a team that's disinterested because they got their 6th win coming off the high, and the Eagles are going to want this game badly.
And, Doug, we all know the Kenny Dillingham story here. It really kind of got started here at the University of Memphis. Everybody's learning it now. He's in a big one. Arizona State still can get in the college football playoff. Break that game down for us.
Yeah, I've been on this ASU team a lot. I really, really like him. And you mentioned it, Dillingham's such an excellent coach. They were picked to finish dead last in the Big 12, and that's not a 12-team conference. That's like 16, 18, whatever. So there's a lot to like with this ASU squad. 8-2 overall. Their only loss was at Texas Tech by 1 score, and then at Cincinnati. And this BYU team leaves a lot to be desired. They've been playing with fire all year, and the line's 3. It was 3.5, got bet back. I like ASU. With their stud running back, Scatteraboo out, he was out, but he's now back last week. I think ASU just has so much different ways to beat you, and I love their quarterbacks, and he's been great since back from injury. Levitt. I'm just going to roll with the good coach, good quarterback, home. I'll lay the relatively short number.
I know you like a couple games in the Big Ten, so let's go over there. First game, Iowa and Maryland. Right now, Iowa on the road, 6-point favorite. That total, 44.5. What do you like in this one?
I like the under. 45, 46 is kind of a big number, but Iowa's relegated to a 3rd-string quarterback right now. So the first 2 guys are get hurt, and they're on the road. I just think they do the blue-collar approach, run the heck out of the ball. And I like Maryland in terms of where the program's headed. I like Loxley as a coach, but he's definitely faded the last couple years at the end of the season. So I think this is an 20-10 win by Iowa. I think it's one of those 20-10, 20-17. I think the Hawkeyes have no problem playing a little ball control. Kirk Ferentz is going to do what he does with a 3rd-string quarterback and just try to eke out a win.
He loves to eke out a win, doesn't he? Doug Kazarian with us from OnlyPlayers.com. He has been so kind to be with us just about every Thursday this year, and his picks have been terrific. In the SEC, Saturday night, Alabama can't get scratched up. They're going to Oklahoma. A lot of things going on around the Oklahoma program. We all send out our very best to Brent Venables and his family with what they're going through. But on the field, Alabama favored 13.5-14 over OU. That game.
Yeah, this is you don't even need to be a college fan or know anything about sports to bet this game. I don't even need to know who, the injury report kind of thing. This is one team that could rally around. You mentioned Venables, his wife, and the health challenges she's having right now. I think the team is going to rally around this. They want this game. It's Saturday night in Norman. They're one win away from bowl eligibility. They have a tough game next week as well. And this is their season. They could sort of right the wrong that is this past season. Meanwhile, Alabama, we've seen them in the past look ahead, stubble their toe, looking ahead to big games. They just had a 5-star guy kicked off the team because he was sliding into the DMs of the coach's daughter. It's just kind of a mess. My only concern is Jalen Milroe. He's such an X factor. He's excellent. He's amazing. As long as that strong Sooners defense can contain him, I think OU is going to muck it up and be in for make this game really competitive. I don't love it, but it's the only side I could play in this game.
I'll throw a couple of Big Ten games at you. Break down Minnesota and Penn State. Penn State, an 11.5-point favorite right now, and then UCLA and USC.
Yeah, this Minnesota game just feels too high. I would have made the number like 8.5. I don't think Penn State's offense has that much firepower. Like, sure, Franklin can beat up on the bully around Purdue and things like that, but we've seen the offense just so limited in so many cases. So I think it's just too many points. I like the under a little bit too. And PJ Fleck's been a solid team. I think they switched quarterbacks too. They've been a really good team the last month or so. It just feels like a little too many points. Now, I know Penn State's got a solid squad and everything, but it's on the road. I'm grabbing the points with the Gophers. Just a few too many points. And then there's the USC UCLA.
I'm sorry, Doug. I was going to ask you, any way you would take Minnesota money line? You just like the points.
I do think Penn State's a solid team. That's the problem. Now, I think they are extremely overrated, and I think they're getting a free pass, while Indiana is not, right? They've both beaten the same quality competition, just Penn State's lost to Ohio State. But I think Penn State's right for I think they might go down. They're not that good.
I'm calling.
They're better at home.
Go for straight up.
Watched it. But they're just not that good. But I like the points. I'd rather have the points Minnesota. I think they're gonna the pressure's mounting for the Nittany Lions. I think the Gophers are gonna bring it. I just think Minnesota, they found ways to win, like at UCLA at the very end. But for the most part, the Minnesota team that's close but not there yet in terms of challenging the top of the Big Ten. So I'd rather just do it with the points and not worry about the nice payout with the money line. Now, UCLA, I think, can get the win. I'm on the Bruins plus the points at USC. First off, I'm not a big fan of Jalen Mayava, the new quarterback for USC. He transferred from UNLV, didn't play that great last week, doesn't really pose that much of a threat against this UCLA defense. The Bruins have really turned this season around. They played a really hard schedule the first month and a half, and now they're starting to get some wins, play well for Deshaun Foster. And if Lincoln Riley told me he was going to run the ball 40 times and lean on his run, then I think they're going to win and cover. But they don't. They just get pass happy. And I don't think this USC defense has sort of fixed any problems. They're not very good. They got Notre Dame next week. I know this is a rivalry game for the Victory Bell, but I can't see how anyone's laying 4.5 on the road. I know it's same city, but it's still not their home stadium. I just don't like this USC team much at all.
Yeah. Doug, let's get to the NFL real quick. The Chiefs lost their first game of the season last week against the Bills. Now they're on the road against the Panthers. Panthers 3-7 on the year. KC on the road, 10.5-point favorite. That total 42.5. What do you like in this one?
Yeah, conventional wisdom would be like, all right, they lost, but now they're going to restore order and go beat up on the Panthers. Sports, a lot of the time, doesn't work like that. We think that, but it doesn't. We've just seen this in the NBA a couple times, whether it be the Thunder this week, whether it's the T-Wolves last week. Teams don't just automatically flip a switch. They're running on empty. We've seen the Chiefs struggle the last few weeks, right? They had the overtime game with the Bucs on Monday night, then should have lost at home to the Broncos, and then last week they finally lose to the Bills. This is back-to-back road games. They're drained. There's a lot of energy in these games. And here the Panthers are off a bye, getting a little healthier with Thielen and things like that. I'm on the ugly dog here. I don't think Carolina's going to win, but they're a little more competent, so I really like them first half plus 6. I think Kansas City doesn't want to play this game. They just want to get the win and get out of there. I think they're going to show up, go through the motions, and do just what they need to do to win. Yes, they win a lot, but they don't cover all the time. And Patrick Mahomes is 0-4 against the spread as a double-digit favorite. I'll take the really ugly dog here.
Well, that's a great point by you. I remember seeing a stat, I think, going into last week's game. That was something like Kansas City is undefeated, but they've only won one game this season by more than 7 points. So, I mean, they've won a lot, but they've all come pretty close. They haven't really blown any teams out, so I really like that play. Doug, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be off next Thursday for Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll catch back up with you in a couple weeks.
Oh, thanks so much, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone as well.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Doug, and good luck. Doug Kazarian with us from Las Vegas with OnlyPlayers.com, and it has been fun having him with us all season long. It is that thankful time of year, that thankful month and the start of the holiday season at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch. It's the red tag sale. They're everywhere. You see a red tag, that means savings for you. New 24s and 25s. You got to love the all-new affordable Equinox for 2025. Red tags mean savings, 0% financing, and a ton of cash back for you. Red tags on Silverados, the new 24s with 1.9 financing plus $3,750 back in cash. New Colorado trucks financing down to 1.9. Not a payment until February of 2025. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star. First exit on Highway 78 at Kraft Goodman Road right after you cross into Mississippi. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare worker, military, educator, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus back just like that. All-Star with all the pre-owns you can imagine. Jeeps, SUVs, Toyotas, Suburbans, Nissan, Tahoes, and a ton of pre-owned Silverados. If you have a vehicle you want to sell, bring it to All-Star. They'll give you more money for it, whether you bought it there or not. Drew DePriest and his staff, they wish everyone in our listening audience a happy and healthy Thanksgiving and start to holiday season. At All-Star Chevrolet, head down Highway 78 and visit with them, and they'll make you a part of their family. Drive to All-Star, and for more information, head to allstarautogroup.com.
Well, let's get to a break. When we come back, it will be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Summer may be over, but yard work, it goes on. Don't worry, Colonial Hardware makes it easy for you. Colonial Hardware has all the lawn and garden tools you need from the best brands in the business. Ferris, Snapper, Husqvarna, Toro, Deco, Shindaiwa, and Billigo. Servicing most brands of lawn equipment, Colonial's master service techs will keep you going year-round. Colonial Hardware, family-owned and operated, and serving you for nearly 50 years. Next to Bass Pro Lake at Sycamore View, and online at colonialhardwareinc.com. Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Thinking about buying a lab-grown diamond versus a natural diamond? Before you make a decision, get the facts at Genesis Diamonds.
We have professionals, certified diamond graders, people who have been in the industry for 20, 30 plus years who are able to educate.
Nadia Ganizer at Genesis says Genesis carries both natural and lab-grown diamonds, including all kinds of comments.
So if they have a question about lab-grown diamond value, we will explain that. We will explain the difference in price. We will explain what to expect in the future.
Nadia says beware. A lot of jewelry stores are using the popularity of lab-grown diamonds to outrageously mark up these stones.
Some retailers charge unreasonable amounts for lab-grown diamonds, and I think that they do take advantage of customers.
But at Genesis, their low price margin philosophy is the same for natural and lab-grown.
Our prices still remains.
Get the education and value you deserve every day on every diamond. Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Scott Graham
here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Coming up, the 8-2 Steelers travel to Cleveland to face their AFC North rivals, the Cleveland Browns. Last week, Pittsburgh picked up a division win over the Ravens, thanks to 6 made field goals. Now they're looking for a 6th straight win to solidify their division lead. Join Ian Eagle and Mike Golick for all the action on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing gift, because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 30 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards real fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, Brett, I have 2 big numbers today. I only brought one to the table, but I got more news in part of breaking news from the Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies PR just tweeted out 1 minute ago a update on Vince Williams Jr. This is what it says, my big number 4, I should say. This is what the statement says. The Memphis Grizzlies today announced the following medical update for Vince Williams Jr. Williams Jr. has been diagnosed with a grade 3 right ankle sprain, which was sustained during the second quarter of the Grizzlies game against the Denver Nuggets on November 19th. He will be reevaluated in approximately 4 weeks, and updates will be provided as appropriate. So, sounds like at the very least a month for Vince Williams Jr.
And we know it won't be 4
no,
weeks.
we know it won't be 4 weeks. I mean, we've come to terms with reevaluated. Never.
That's
means
really
they're
bad
ready.
news.
It's not good news at all. So no good news there. I know a lot of people were curious. He was on the, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was on the status report listed as week to week yesterday before that game, but now an official update from the Grizzlies on Vince Williams, and it is not good news. Well, I'll put that behind and go to what my big number really was coming into the day, because this is just absurd. My big number is 0. Last night, Alabama put up 100 points against Illinois. It was a top 25 matchup, and Alabama looked like a much better team than Illinois. I'll be honest. I've watched Illinois play twice this year. Now, granted, one was an exhibition game against Ole Miss. I've not been impressed in either game I've seen from them. Hopefully, they can improve throughout the season and be a really good team, but I was not impressed with them last night. But for Alabama, my 0 comes from, that was the amount of points Mark Sears, the star player for Alabama, finished with last night. Mark Sears, 0 for 5 from the field last night, 0 for 4 from 3, 0 points. This is a guy I think everybody would agree preseason probably still is definitely in the mix for player of the year, but last night, 0 points and only played 21 minutes, and we got some clarity after the game. Grant Nelson, who had a fantastic game last night, joined the Field of 68 after dark and was talking about his performance, and this is what he said about Mark Sears. Quote, Mark realized other guys were playing well and told Coach Oates to sub him out. It just shows his leadership to let these young guys come in and hoop. That was all him. So Mark Sears knows shots aren't falling for me. I'm not having a good game. Other guys are having a good game. Coach, sit me and play those guys that are knocking down shots. And this Alabama team is very deep.
They are. When he can get 0 and they can do that to Illinois.
Score 100. That's incredible.
I'm with you. I'm starting to the make-believe game against Ole Miss. Those games, I may have a different feeling about those next year when they get around. My big number today is 28. It is the 28th time, Saturday will be the 28th time for Notre Dame to play at Yankee Stadium. I know there's been different Yankee stadiums, but play along. 18-6-3 in those games, 15-5-3 versus the Army at Yankee Stadium. It will also be the 100th anniversary of the game that Grantland Rice first wrote of the Four Horsemen. That was in the 1924 game. The 1946 game featured 4 Heisman Trophy winners at Yankee Stadium that day. Doc Blanchard and Glenn Davis for the Army, and Johnny Lujack and Leon Hart for Notre Dame. Is that some college football names?
First off, great names. Definitely college football names. Second off, crazy stats. I mean, anytime you bring up 1924 in a big number, that's insane.
If people listen to us are college football fans, if you have a friend out there that's not a college football fan and they kind of want to get brought up to speed this weekend, have them read the Notre Dame game notes for this week.
Oh, I can't.
Armies.
Yeah, I bet
just
both
go to
are
those.
Incredible. I'm gonna have to. I mean, I like game notes, and I need to go look at those and
walk down memory lane. A game that I won't say that 1924 made Grantland Rice probably the quintessential number one sports writer of the 20th century, but it went a long way.
Yes, it didn't hurt anything. It only helped. That's crazy.
And come up with 4 horsemen. That's good stuff.
That is really good stuff.
And that was when you could play with you and fold your helmet up and put it in your pocket.
Good, yeah. You just take it wherever you went.
They don't fold like that now.
No. Made to actually do the opposite, not fold no matter what. But we've come a long way since those days, Brett. But it's going to be a fun game. I'm excited to see those two teams go after it. See if Army, what can they do against that Notre Dame team, and certainly in that setting, it's going to be fun. That's the thing. Playing with house money, free shot. We'll see what they can do. It will definitely be a fun game. Let's go ahead and wrap up our second hour, get to a break. When we come back, Greg Gaston will join us to talk Tigers. So much to get to. We got to talk Tiger football as Tigers off this week before going and taking on Tulane next Thursday. But we won't talk to Greg next week, so we'll do a little bit of previewing for that game. But the big one, this little stretch that starts tonight for the Tigers on the road tonight against San Francisco, and then off to Maui for what will be 3 very, very difficult games for Penny Hardaway's squad. So let's get to this break. When we come back, we're talking Tigers with Greg Gaston.
Guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free border sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
See website for details. This item is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Must be 18 years old. Not available in all states.
Honey, the credit card bill came in maxed out.
Great! Maxed out cards, rent's due, bills are piling up. We just need some extra cash to help us get by for a few weeks.
We should do what my brother did. He went to billshappen.com and got $3,000 the next day.
With our bad credit, I don't think so.
Billshappen.com is different. They are one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with all credit types and up to $5,000.
I'm sure there's a lot of paperwork.
Nope, my brother said it was easy. He did it right from his phone.
If you have a regular source of income, you can be approved for a loan for up to $5,000 in minutes, and your cash can hit your bank account the next day. Bills Happens lenders have millions of dollars to lend, regardless of your credit history.
Great news! I went to billshappen.com, and we will have our money as soon as tomorrow.
Wow, that is fast.
If you need extra cash, go to billshappen.com. That's billshappen.com. Billshappen.com.
You know the great thing about having an event catered by Central Barbecue?
What was that?
They turn any event into a cookout.
You stole that directly from their website.
Well, I didn't expect you to have looked at their website.
I've got events coming up. It's the holiday season, and there's no better way to make things easier than to have Central Barbecue cater it.
They have everything. Box lunches, meat platters, nacho bar kits.
And half and full sheet pans of their traditional barbecue sides. I'm looking at the website right now. You're quoting it verbatim.
Not exactly verbatim.
Word for word. This is a new level of lazy even by your standards.
That doesn't make it any less true. You can't beat Central Barbecue Catering.
It's just plagiarism.
All 650 acquisition fee, K4LXS, SEO 29100, MSRP 24230, Telluride RG 529 196, MSRP 41730, K5 S53 23133, MSRP 28330. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Valid through 12/2/24.
Hey, Jeff Allen, it's time to get ready for a season of new traditions at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Randy, my new tradition is saving my customers big bucks. I've got a 2025 Kia K4 LXS at $199 a month. That's less than $7 a day for a new ride. A 2024 K5 now $269 a month. Both $34.99 due at signing and a 24-month lease. And a 2025 Telluride, that spacious 8-seater SUV with high towing capacity and all-terrain tires, $348 per month. $39.99 due at signing.
Plus all new EV9, 0% for 72 months. And every Kia comes with America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown. And in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's been pretty heavy trying to get out of the Midtown area from that earlier collision we had on 240 North right there at the 240-40 Midtown interchange. It looked like a rear-end type collision that just got moved on 385 Bill Morris Parkway right there at Ridgeway. Again, it's over to the side, but that was going westbound. The heaviest flow is going the opposite direction now on Bill Morris Parkway going eastbound. As you continue out towards Collierville, it's starting to load up with more volume by the minute. Now on 40 East over here at Sycamore View Road. Shop now and save during this holiday season. Where? Weimer's Jewelry, located 7525 Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Once again, are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios as we start our third and final hour. Tigers, a big test trip for them as they start about a week of big games starting tonight against San Francisco. Then they'll head to Maui, and we know they start over there with UConn. It's going to be a tough test in all 3 of those games in Hawaii. But let's go ahead and talk some Tigers, and let's do it with Greg Gaston.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 96 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter, X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us now to talk some Tigers. And Greg, let's talk about this Tiger basketball team. Last Friday, the last time they took the court against Ohio, a good win, came out, looked good. Ohio kind of tried to get back into it right before halftime. Second half, it was back to business for Penny Hardaway's team. And you look up now, leading the country in three-point shooting percentage. What have you seen through these first three games from this Tiger team, especially in that most recent game against Ohio?
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, guys. And it was amazing to watch this team shoot 72% in the second half of that game against Ohio. And as you just mentioned, first in the nation currently in three-point shooting. Who would have thunk it, right?
Nobody.
So you take advantage of that. The numbers are outstanding. Can you continue at that pace? No, of course not. But if you continue to get the right guy shooting threes, and that's Haggerty, that's Hunter, that's Jourdain, you're going to be okay. And if you shoot at a good, solid percentage, upper 30s, near 40%, you're going to feel real good about the possibilities of winning a bunch of basketball games. And what was different from the first two games with the third game, Ohio, was that Memphis did get out to a quick start against Ohio. They weren't able to do that in their first two games against Missouri and then out at UNLV. But, yes, Ohio, give them credit. They battled back. They made it very interesting going into the half. But in the second half, it was all Memphis. They wore down Ohio. They used their athleticism. They used their ability to turn turnovers into buckets. And a nice, solid win over a team that was picked to win the MAC. But now the challenge is in front of them, a big road trip starting tonight with San Francisco.
It starts tonight with San Francisco and then 3 in Maui, and I think we all pretty much agree that 2-2's real good. Anything above that speaks for itself. And win tonight would avert going winless. We know on the trip, and I don't think they'll go 0-3 in Maui. I watched some of Ohio today, and they were as bad today against Middle as they were Friday night at FedEx Forum.
Yeah, they're off to a poor start. I had a chance to talk with their coach, and he said, we're still trying to figure out our way, find our identity, trying to get a couple of new guys with chemistry with the veteran players that are back. They are missing one of their best players in Elijah Mitchell, so I'll give them a pass. But yeah, it's nothing to write home about that you beat up on Ohio at home.
24.
But tonight on the road though, San Francisco. They call it a neutral court. I guess technically it is. It's the home of the Golden State Warriors, the Chase Center. It's not their building, but it might as well be a home game because you had to travel 4.5 hours to get there from Memphis. They had to probably travel 20 minutes to get to the arena. And the Dons are good. They got 4 players that score in double figures. Tyrone Riley, the fourth, is averaging just about 20 points per game. They have good athleticism. They have good size, and they have good depth. But I'm in agreement with you, Brett. I think you go 2-2 right now. I think you would sign up for it.
Sure would. And that's not UConn's goal, but goals are different at other places. And the Tigers will face UConn in that first one in Maui. Greg, usually, or a lot of times after 3 games in the Penny Hardaway years, there have been things that we already were scared of. Maybe chemistry, maybe 3-point shooting. I don't know of anything right now. Maybe the bigs. I'm a little scared of the Memphis bigs, but there's not anything alarming so far, in small sample size, so far about this team. Do you see anything that other teams are going, yeah, we can expose that? I haven't seen it. You watch it and follow it closer than I do, though.
Nothing alarming. I agree with you. I would be a little concerned that at times they're haphazard with the basketball, and a lot of the turnovers that they have committed are self-inflicted. Now, we'll see when they play better competition if they start to press Memphis and try to pressure them, how they handle that pressure. But through the first 3 games, the turnovers have basically come by Memphis making mistakes, throwing in the double coverage, making a bad pass, a bad alley-oop pass, things of that nature. But those things can be corrected. Other than that, I feel very good about their half-court defense, their help defense. They're really communicating well. The bigs are better defenders than they are offensive players, but we know around the bucket they can score, whether it be Danger or Cisse. Now, again, against higher caliber competition, we'll see what they can do because they're going to have some scoring from the bigs, even if it's going to the free throw line. And we loved what we saw in Moussa Cisse in that game against Ohio. He made his free throws. They're going to be called upon to make some free throws. But this is still a guard-oriented team, and they'll only go as far as Haggerty and Rogers and Hunter take them.
It's definitely a guard-oriented team, and I know Brett just mentioned the big men. Does the depth concern you with this team? I mean, and you talk about the big men and kind of the depth there, some of the fouling that we've seen early from those big men. Does depth concern you at all right now?
Right now, no, because I think you're fine if you go 8 deep. Most teams, when they get ready for a run to the tournament, they will cut down their rotation.
Yeah.
So I'm good with that. But there's always that worry in the back of your head that, oh, gosh, I hope it's not a game in which the officials are calling every single tic-tac foul. Also, God forbid you get a sprained ankle here, a bum knee there, and then all of a sudden you don't have any depth. So that's scary, but I'm not going to let that bother me because I don't want to be hypocritical, too. I've also talked about in the past having too many players.
Exactly.
And Penny using too many of those players. So I like what's going on right now. He's being very cautious, especially with Haggerty and Hunter, and for a little bit with Jourdain. I think he had, was it a shoulder? But it may have been a hip or a shoulder. I don't remember what it was. But he's being very careful with those guys during the week. They're not practicing as hard as they normally would because he's making sure that they are ready to go for the games. That's what matters, the games. They've done enough preparation. They've been in the film class. They have good chemistry to start this season off, and that's very, very key. We didn't see chemistry at all last year with the team, especially when it got into conference play. So, yeah, I'm not overly concerned with anything right now, but depth will certainly become an issue, God forbid, if you have an injury. Now, I do believe there's a great chance once the first semester is done and guys have gotten into the portal and they're eligible that Penny could add a player. I don't have any idea who it could be. I don't know what's available out there, but I would not be surprised for depth reasons that he adds another player if he can.
Greg Gaston, our guest, you hear him every morning with Eli Savoy from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., and he's with us every Thursday afternoon from the Tiger Sideline. It's brought to you by Dyer's Hamburgers, Crab Kings, and the Crazy Coop. Brian, what you don't know is Greg is right now en route, dressed in disguise like Connor Stallions, heading to Oxford to scout Ole Miss against Oral Roberts tonight.
Wow, how about that? I love it.
I'm doing a little scouting, and I'm also going to see a couple of old friends. This is a pretty cool story. 2 guys that I covered back in my days in Salisbury in television, a small Division III school, but a very good sports school. They're in the college football Division III playoffs. They're a national power in lacrosse. But my friends are the basketball coaches. The head coach is Russell Springman at Oral Roberts. He used to be assistant coach at Texas. And then Bill Lewitt is one of his assistants, and he's been around the game for a long, long time as well. So they invited me to come on down, so that's what I'm doing. Looking forward to saying hello to these guys before the game and then after the game. And like you said, Brett, doing a little wink-wink scouting for Penny and the gang when they play Ole Miss later on in December.
I don't blame you. Now, will you be in those really good seats, like right behind in the kind of the ORU bench area?
Well, I got an option, right? So I got the media passes. So we have the media passes, or I can go and sit there behind that bench because they did provide tickets for me as well.
Nice.
So it'll be a filling out process.
Yeah, Matt Dillon, a lot of times through the years when Cal and Kentucky would come through, he would go to Oxford to those games. You'll have fun tonight. Or Roberts, they had the tough loss last week to Tulsa, but they always find a way to come out of that league.
They've had a couple of really good seasons recently. I don't know if the talent is the same. It probably isn't, but I think those guys are going to do a good job. It's going to be a competitive league, no question.
Greg, going back to this Tiger basketball team, when you look at who they've played and what's coming up on the schedule, San Francisco is going to be the best defense they've faced so far this season. Now, very small sample size, but then you get into Maui, and we still don't know what comes past UConn, but 3 of the top 10 defensive ranked teams, according to defensive efficiency on KenPom, are in this Maui bracket, and the Tigers will see one of them in UConn. Starting tonight against the San Francisco team, everyone goes back to North Carolina and Alabama. This offense, at a lot of times in those 2 exhibitions got very stagnant against those defenses. What do you want to see from this offense tonight against San Francisco as they start seeing better defenses than what they've seen in the first 3 games?
That's a very astute point, Brian. No question about that. The defenses will ratchet up for Memphis as they go up against these next teams over the course of the next week or so. You're talking about a San Francisco team that's good at both ends. 84 points per game offensively. They give up just 60.5 points defensively. Now, the caliber of competition, not as strong, but they did play Boise State. They took them down. That's a good win for them. So Memphis is going to have to be taking advantage of any time they can turn over tonight, San Francisco, UConn, whoever they play after UConn. They're going to have to score in transition. That's a big part of their DNA. Force turnovers, break out, go to the hole, get to the bucket, score, get fouled, hit free throws. In a half-court offense, I'm a lot more confident in the half-court this year than what we saw last year. There were so many breakdowns offensively last year in the half-court offense, even though they had some pretty good talent. Well, they got some good talent here, but I really like the communication, the way they're moving the ball, looking for the extra pass. So I think they have a chance to do well in the half court. But again, when you're playing some really good athletes, especially when you match up with UConn, it is going to be a challenge. That's why I said they're going to have to get something from the bigs. And that means a little bit more pressure on Dane Danger because he's more of the scorer than Cisse. But even if it's alley-oops to Musa, or they're making free throws, whatever they can contribute is going to help because the 3 in the backcourt, they're going to do their thing. Hunter, Haggerty, Kobe Rogers, but teams are also going to zero in on them. And as long as they have physical bigs, they'll try to be as physical as a Cisse would be or a Danger would be, and that would maybe offset. Then they can really concentrate on trying to lock down a Haggerty from driving to the hole. If he doesn't have those lanes to drive to the hole, that puts Memphis at a big disadvantage.
Talking to Greg Gaston, he joins us every Thursday to talk Tigers. Going over the football side, obviously next Thursday is Thanksgiving, so we won't be talking to you, but the Tigers will be playing against Tulane that day, and we've seen this Tulane team has looked really good, especially in conference play. What do you want to see from this Tiger team next Thursday when they take on Tulane in the final regular season game of the year?
I want them to be hungry, even though they're not playing for a spot in the conference championship. I want them to go in there, leave it all out there on the field. They've struggled in New Orleans against this Tulane team. You saw, which blew my mind, that the early line was 14.5 points that Tulane was favored by. They really need to look at that and go, man, we're really being disrespected. Now, I understand what the odds makers are doing in Vegas. Look, Tulane is playing out of their minds right now. They've dominated Memphis in the past. Memphis is 9-2, but they've taken advantage of a weak schedule. They've beaten up on a lot of teams. We know that, but Memphis is certainly capable. So what I want to see them is ready to compete from the get-go and play their game where they force the turnovers, where they win the turnover battle. The only time that they have not won the turnover battle was Navy, UTSA. What happened in both those games? They lost. They won the turnover battle. I think maybe one was a tie, but the other 9 games they won. That's what they have to do. You cannot give extra possessions to Tulane. That quarterback, remember, it was all about Pratt's leaving, the coach is leaving. There's going to be issues, right? Well, there haven't been. I would say, too, those 2 early season losses for Tulane, which were very close, more so with Kansas State, I think they would beat Kansas State. And who knows? They probably would beat Oklahoma if they played them today. They are that much improved from the beginning of the year. So, and John Sumrall is a heck of a coach. So they're already in the conference championship, but they're in the conference championship, but they're not going to go out there and go through a lackluster performance. Look, Everybody has to be working on Thanksgiving. Nobody likes working on Thanksgiving. Let's be honest. You've done it a lot, Brett, with the Egg Bowl. Well, now the Egg Bowl's on Friday, and this game's on Thursday. It's nationally televised. All eyes, after they eat your share of turkey, will be glued to the television to watch this game because people love college football. You got to put your best foot forward. If Memphis goes out there and puts the ball on the ground, gives them extra possessions, it'll be a long night. But I think they're ready to go to play really, really hard, despite, again, a win not getting into a championship game.
Greg, let's talk the rosiest scenario. Let's say the Tigers win, get to 10-2, and then get into one of the AAC-affiliated bowl arrangements with a Power 4 team. Win that game 11-2. It's going to be the rarest of circumstances. You're going to have people jumping on the bandwagon when the season's over.
It's going to be strange because there are people that have already made their minds that this is a disappointment, even if they win 10 or 11 games. There's others that, maybe changing their tune. There are still others that have not jumped off the bandwagon. They've been there from the beginning. They're the true fans. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But Justin Fuente, the former Tiger head coach who was on with Eli and me last week, I think he said it best. Two things can be correct at the same time. You could have a very good season, and there's nothing to sneeze at winning 10 or 11 games, and still be extremely disappointed that you weren't able to reach your goal of getting to the championship game, let alone winning the championship game. So you could still be extremely disappointed, yet still excited about the future of the program because it's not easy to win 10 or 11 games. They're trying to win 10 back-to-back seasons for the first time in history. On the flip side, if you go down to New Orleans, you get beaten up by Tulane, you kind of go into that bowl game and get beat there, then all of a sudden it's 4 losses. It's certainly not as attractive, and people won't be as excited about 9-4 as opposed to 10-3 or 11-2. So I think it's an extremely important game, not only for this season but really for the future. When you look at where Memphis is right now, you're trying to be Tulane. Tulane is setting the pace in this conference. You want to be the pace setter.
Greg, do you think the number of discontented, and it feels like some are really want to get in your face over, I told you so, I told you about Ryan Silverfield. Do you think the discontented, disaffected fans outnumber the diehards?
It's hard to tell, but if I just gauged it from the reaction on my show, I would say yes. I'm going to bet it's more like half and half. They're definitely louder. I would say, and again, it's just purely a speculation on my part, it's probably half and half. Now, I thought the crowd was really good for the game against UAB. It was senior night, so you got a lot more family members and friends that come to the game. And I thought it's not great. The attendance was not great by any stretch of the imagination. You can't fill a 31,000-seat stadium with the Liberty Hole right now. That's all the capacity is, 31-32, and you weren't able to do that. But I thought it was a much better crowd than the previous 2 home games. So I hope people understand that, look, it's disappointing. We should be in the championship game. We failed to do so. But as fans, we still respect a team going out there, playing as hard as they do week in and week out, and winning a bunch of games, because the goal is to win as many games as you can.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, but we'll see what both these teams can do. Basketball getting it started tonight, and then football on Thursday against Tulane. Greg, enjoy the game tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll catch back up with you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to you guys, too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg, and enjoy tonight. Greg Gaston with us every Thursday, talking Tigers. He's on his way to the Ole Miss Oral Roberts game. We have that action tonight starting at 7, right, Brian?
Yeah. So we're going to have Reb Talk like we have every Thursday, and then that will lead right into the start of the game, 7 p.m. tip for that Ole Miss Oral Roberts game. So we won't have pregame, but have no fear. We will have coverage of that game tonight.
But tonight at 9 o'clock, I know what a lot of eyes are going to be on. It's going to be on the Tigers out in San Francisco against the Dons. Tiger bankroll time. We're still waiting to get Darian's pick. I have Connors. San Francisco favored 1.5 points, minus 1.5. For the year, Connor leads at 1075, Darian 1050, Bryant 1040, me last at 925, and Connor takes San Francisco minus the 1.5 for 50.
Yeah, I'll do the same. Well, no, I'll do 40. If I'm at 1040 right now, I'll go 40 on San Francisco. I just think, tough road game. I know, quote unquote neutral. They call it a semi-road game for the Tigers on KenPom. I like that wording a lot more than I like the neutral because it's in San Francisco. I think the San Francisco team is good. They've got some really good players. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Tigers, and so I'll take San Francisco to win this game and cover it. I'll take it for $40.
Does KenPom grade those different when it's kind of neutral but kind of home but not there? Like if Bama played at BJCC, like they did?
It's a good question. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I was having that conversation with Connor earlier today because
Arkansas and North Little Rock in a few weeks.
Yeah, well, it's a good question.
Maybe this weekend.
Yeah, because I was telling Connor this morning, the net doesn't have a section for semi-road or semi-anything. They just look at home, away, or neutral, right? And so, it's interesting. I don't know about what KenPom does, but I did love seeing that wording this morning when I was kind of looking at both these teams side by side.
All right, so far we have the first group lock of the year, waiting on Darian's pick, but you had San Fran, Connor had San Fran, and I'm taking San Francisco minus the 1.5 for 100.
Whoa. Wow, Brett, that is shocking.
100 on San Francisco.
Okay, well, we'll see. This is one of those games.
Minus 1.5. It's kind of telling you what I think.
It is telling us what you think, but this has turned into one of those games. I'm always rooting for the Tigers to win, but definitely in terms of Tiger Bankroll, I want to lose my pick in Tiger Bankroll so that you can get in a little bit of a hole.
I'll be in a big hole.
You'll be a big hole if you drop 100 tonight in that one. So we'll see a late game.
I'll be UConn $10 Monday.
That's right. Or maybe no, Brett. That's when you double down. You go big on your next one and try to get right back in it.
That's not how you do it. No, that's not even close to how you do it.
Well, I tried to get you there, but I guess you created it, so you know how to play the game, I reckon. But it is going to be a late one tonight for the Tigers and the Dons, 9 o'clock on ESPNU. Well, before we get to this break, let me remind you our 5 o'clock sponsor, that's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City, they've been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team, they're ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, or the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Any questions you have about any of these vehicles, they'll be glad to answer them. Go online, JaguarBluffCity.com. Take a look at some of those vehicles, but go and test drive these great vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove right there just off of Quince. Perfect time around Thanksgiving, getting closer to the holidays. Go check out everything they have to offer at Jaguar Bluff City. Well, let's get to another break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8 suspension, and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one at Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
Getting engaged soon? Don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and Genesis Diamonds has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made in the USA from names like Tacori, Garagio, and dozens more. Not even allowed to sell these amazing brands when you can get them at Genesis. This is one amazing store owned by a former diamond wholesaler. Every diamond is straight from the gutter with rock bottom prices, and nothing's held back. They'll show you the inside secrets of the diamond business and teach you how to buy like a dealer buys. They can also explain the differences between natural and lab-grown diamonds, so you can buy with total confidence. We're lucky to have Genesis here, so check them out. It's extended. You won't thank me. Check them out online at genesisdiamonds.com.
Hey, Marty McNaid, I hear it's the signed and drive sales event at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. Hit me with the scoop, dude.
Okay, Randy, how about 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, and 0 do-it signing?
Wow, 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, 0 do-it signing?
That's right, Randy. Plus 2024 Taos S, 0 down at $337 per month.
And I hear you got 5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9% for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
You heard right, Randy. 5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9 for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
Great Scott, McNaid, you got it going on at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. You need to get out there and see him. 7420 Winchester Road or shop online, GossettVWG.com. 7,500 miles per year. Terms and conditions. My rich house. MSRP 26 rebates and incentives. License registration fees. Excludes BS 695. See dealer for details. Dealer stock only with approved credit.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code YEAR to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code YEAR for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending, a handful of things to talk about, but I do want to talk about Thursday night football tonight on Prime Video. Usually we carry all of the prime time NFL games, but tonight with Ole Miss basketball playing, we'll carry them instead. Before we kind of get into this game, a reminder of what we've got coming up on Sports 56 this weekend. Tonight, Ole Miss versus Oral Roberts at 7 p.m. Saturday, Ole Miss versus Florida. That pregame coverage starts at 9 a.m. And then Sunday, we'll have our NFL triple header starting at noon with Vikings at Bears. But tonight, we've got Thursday night football. The Steelers just coming off a big win over the Ravens on the road against the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland Browns 2-8 right now. Pittsburgh a 3.5-point favorite, but this is the Browns team that one of their two wins was against the Ravens team that the Steelers just got done beating last week.
Yeah, this is one that always is hard fought, very, very, very competitive. And if you would have told me in the preseason that Mike Tomlin was going to keep that streak alive and he was going to do it in the 11th game, that's a bet that would have been made by everybody against. In fact, Brian, I would have bet against keeping the streak alive with 17 games.
Wow.
The whole year, much less to be able to do it after tonight. The Steelers have won 5 straight. It's ugly. It's defense. It's special teams. It's not a lot of running the ball. It's not a lot of offense. They are getting the best football out of Pickens, and if he turns out to really have that big year, I don't think they can win the AFC, but they might be able to squeeze into an AFC championship game.
They definitely could. And, it kind of goes back to what everybody was talking about before the season. A lot of, Pittsburgh's not going to be able to do anything when you look at the 2 quarterbacks that they brought in. I mean, you've got one quarterback that got traded away from his team in Chicago and Justin Fields. Then the other guy, a franchise is paying him money to not be on their team anymore in Russell Wilson. And so, it was a lot of jokes in the offseason about, really, these are the 2 guys you're going to have competing for the starting quarterback. But none of that matters because we know with Mike Tomlin, it all goes through what the defense is doing, and he has some great guys on that side of the ball, and they're really dictating these games, and really you just need them to come up with stops. Offense put up some points, and that has been the recipe for success this year for this Pittsburgh Steelers team.
And I do think Arthur Smith is getting the best football you can get out of Russell Wilson, and now with that new look they had last week, using backup quarterback Justin Fields to replace Russell Wilson on occasional snaps, including Pittsburgh's final drive when Fields ran for about 9 or 10 yards that helped kill the clock. They might use him like once upon a time in Pittsburgh they used Cordell Stewart.
Yeah, they definitely could, and that's what you're seeing, especially that last drive. You're just trying to pick up some first downs and trying to kind of run that clock out. You want a guy that can come in, pick up some yards with his legs. Russell Wilson's not doing that, but you got a great guy that can do it, and Justin Fields just sitting there. Why not put him in? I thought it was a brilliant idea, and it worked to
Wilson
success.
can't do it, and you don't want him hit.
Bingo. So it's the best of both worlds. It's the both of those going against you. So, but
they like a field goal in the AFC North, don't they?
They love it. It wins games,
It does.
So
6 of them will.
That's right. They use it often, and yes, 6 is that's insane. But hey,
if you had him in fantasy football, you won.
Congratulations. Yeah, you won big. But hopefully, a good game tonight on Thursday Night Football. It feels like, and we talk about it all the time. It feels like Thursday Night Footballs have those games have delivered this year.
They have delivered. But Brian, I've said that. We've said that a lot of the year. Tell me a window that hadn't delivered this year for the NFL.
Well, this year, it's all been great. But when I say Thursday Night Football has delivered this year, last year, the Thursday Night Football games were awful. They were all lopsided. And, a lot of people were, why do I even need Prime Video? I don't want to watch these games. But these games this year have been fantastic.
There will be no group lock on the Tigers.
Oh, wow.
Darian comes through
Good
with
for
50
Darian.
on the Tigers plus the 1.5.
Wow. All right. Good for him. I like that. Good for Darian. We'll see what happens. Some other news, we just learned that Aaron Judge has won AL MVP. That news just coming out. Maybe the least shocking thing I've heard today.
Well, wait till you hear the unanimous pick tomorrow for Shohei.
Yes, that's right. Yes. I think both of those we knew pretty early that those 2 guys were going to be MVPs.
Almost every award, postseason award, did not have a lot of drama in it. Even the managers, the Cy Youngs. Rookie of the Year, Skeens didn't surprise, did he?
Not at all. No, I don't think any of the awards. It was one of those years. The stars were there, and they separated themselves very quickly.
Sure did, and how could you vote for anybody other than Judge?
It's impossible, and same thing for Shohei tomorrow. I mean, it's those 2 guys locked it up early. They were the driving forces for both their teams. Those 2 teams that saw each other in the World Series, and a lot of credit to what those 2 guys were able to do. They deserved it.
And they're both Hall of Fame bound someday.
Yes, easily, I think. I know for both of them. Earlier today, I saw this. Mac Brown plans to remain the North Carolina head coach beyond 2024. We've kind of brought it up occasionally throughout the season. I know earlier when we were talking with Doug Kazarian, he made a comment about the future of Mac Brown. What do you make of this news, Brett?
Not much, and it may not even mean much in a week or so. A lot of times they say all the right things until I've had enough, and so let's see if it really happens.
Well, and sometimes, it's, I'm stepping away, I'm retiring, and behind the scenes, it's a lot of, hey.
You can't believe how busy I'm going to be.
Yeah. Well,
Doug made a great point. North Carolina really did get to bowl eligibility, and kind of, well, we're good.
They kind of shut it off. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a meeting at some point behind the scenes, and, AD at North Carolina says, all right, Mac, you're a great guy, great coach. Let's go ahead and retire, and that something changes.
Got to be careful with that though, because he's very popular there.
You do, but
Bubba Cunningham, got in not trouble, but got on a little thinner ice on some other issues, so he has to play it close. And the whole right now, not only the money you don't want to spend, wouldn't be any buyout if you're retired, but the money you don't want to spend, but even going out and finding the new money for the new guy, and I think the potential coaching pool is very thin.
That is true, but I don't know if I want another year of Mac Brown at North Carolina. It's great coach, legendary.
They could be really ready
Hall
for
of
him
Fame.
to end it next year.
Yeah, I just with what I've seen this year, I just don't know if what next year holds. What was it earlier this season when it was all his it felt like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, it was comment after comment that was making all the headlines of, okay, maybe this ends mid-season with him. And
there are a couple of exceptions, as it all usually is to everything. Bill Snyder's second tour of duty at Kansas State was really good. As good as, or maybe better than the first. But most of the time, whether it's Johnny Major's second time at Pitt, the late John Robinson, the second time at USC, it really did, and even this one with Mac Brown, I think you could already say it really didn't.
It didn't, but it just makes it so hard because it's hard to end that with a legendary coach like the names you just listed off.
And the press conference announcing he's returning is a lot better than the end.
Yes, way, way, way better. Something else I wanted to get to, we don't talk a ton of high school football recruiting, but breaking news coming out just 15 minutes ago or so, 5-star quarterback Bryce Underwood, the number 1 overall prospect in the 2025 class, has flipped his commitment from LSU to Michigan. Obviously, a Michigan
wait, I didn't
guy.
think Michigan did these kind of things.
Yeah, how about that?
Because the money for him, people are talking $2.5 million a year.
Yeah, that's crazy to even think about, Brett.
So for 3 years, that's $7.5 million. And Michigan loves, we don't. What they really want to say, and they don't say it, but they want to say, we don't roll like the SEC. We have a little more dignity than they do. We don't buy coaches out, and we don't hire. They did it for Harbaugh, and now they're doing it for this player, and they should, but lose the pretense.
Yes, well, it goes back to what we talk about
because we know what you did do with the Fab Five.
Well, yes, no hiding that, even though people want to try to, but. It goes back to what we've talked about ever since NIL became a thing of there are some people that, it feels like a lot of programs are embracing it, but there are some coaches that want to embrace it publicly, but then there are some coaches that want to embrace it, but when it comes to talking in front of the media and being public about it, they almost want to hide behind and not talk about it, NIL, and bat it down. I just don't understand that. You should be proud of NIL and what you're able to pay.
I wish just everybody would come to the realization of this is where we are. Not only is it not going back to 1980, it's not going back to 2018.
No. We're here, and
and you'll enjoy it a lot more. And you better get in business with it, or you'll get bulldozed.
Yeah. No, it's you better jump on the train.
Because if Michigan, if they're doing it this blatantly and no pretense around it, there's not many left to kind of hide behind. We don't do that.
Yeah, no. You either jump on the train or you're going to get left at the station.
You will.
It's one way or the other.
And now, to pick your sport, like we were talking earlier, Arkansas is in the NIL business, or Cal never leaves. He had to see that money in the bank. Before he takes that job, and they had it there and knew they could. And that's what in any SEC move, any potential move of whatever big splashy name you want to mention, They're not going to go there and they say, no, we can go out and raise it. No. You show it to me on that screen.
Yes. It already needs to be there, and then I'll come, because that's the worst thing is if you say, yeah, sure, I'll come. That sounds great. And then 3 months into it, you can't.
Same as with the player.
Yeah.
It happened to Jaden Rashada.
It sure did. And, we saw what happened from that. But, it's gotta be there. And you're seeing that, and I think you're going to see a lot more of it as we get deeper and deeper into this.
I think if people would just realize it is professional sports, and you'll be better off with it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, we need to get to our final break of the day, but before we do that, it's dinner time. A lot of people about to get out and go and grab some food. And, when you think of Memphis, you think of the barbecue, and you can get the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue any night at the Commissary. With locations in Germantown and Collierville, stop in for lunch or dinner or get it to go. Start your meal with an appetizer like a cheese plate, chicken wings, or my favorite, the barbecue nachos. For more than 40 years, the Commissary has been a staple in this area, and a big part of it is because of the quality of food they serve. My go-to, it's got to be the ribs, but it's hard to resist the barbecue shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled, and get it by the plate or by the pound. It comes in handy with the sandwich pack. Feed the whole group with a 6-pack, 8-pack, even a 12-pack. And don't forget about the desserts like the delicious banana pudding, brownie, or the lemon icebox pie. Check out the entire menu and catering options at commissarybbq.com. Whether it's a watch party for your favorite team or a tailgate, let the Commissary cater your next event. Give them a call, 901-754-5540. Make any event perfect. It's a perfect time to go in there and check out the holiday specials. It's that time again. Let the Commissary do the cooking while you relax for the holidays. Choose from their self-service holiday specials or check out the full-service catering options for your gathering or holiday party. Remember these important dates. Monday, November 25th, that's right around the corner at 6 p.m. That's the last day to place your Thanksgiving orders, and the Commissary is closed on Thanksgiving Day. And then for Christmas time, Sunday, December 22nd at 6 p.m., that's the last day to place Christmas orders, and they're closing a little early on Christmas Eve. So check it out. Get the smoked turkey, honey smoked spiral sliced ham. My family, we always get the Commissary and usually go back and forth between the two. Always good. Then help you out with those sides as well. So make sure you check out the Commissary. But you want to get out there tonight, get out there this week. Germantown location open daily from 8 p.m. and the Collierville location open till 9 p.m. for that world-famous Memphis-style barbecue at the Commissary. Well, let's get to that final break. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
And Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, Plumbing, and Generators is here to make this season extra cozy and cheerful. For the first 50 customers who purchase a new Carrier system, tankless water heater, or a whole home generator, we have a special gift for you. Choose from a $500 gift card or 60 months no interest financing. And don't forget about Choate's Refer a Friend referral program, where you can earn up to $500. Simply refer a friend to use our services, and if they become a customer, you could earn up to a $500 Visa gift card. But hurry, this festive offer will only last through December 20th. Visit ChotesHVAC.com or call 347-8086 to schedule your free estimate today. And turn to the experts with Choates and let our family serve your family this holiday season.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
Price does not include licensing costs, registration fees, taxes, and dealer doc fee of $899.50, which are to be paid by the consumer. Silverado RG 355,553, MSRP 57,330, dealer discount 4,002. Sierra RZ 325,360, MSRP 54,330, dealer discount 4,000, expires 12/2/24.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 per person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Plus. Once again, Ravens with the
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is the Tigers will take the court in a couple of hours against San Francisco at the Chase Center in what will be the toughest game they've played so far this year. That level of competition only jumps up starting tonight against San Francisco. You look at what they've done. 4-0. Now, we mentioned it earlier. Cal Poly, Long Beach State, Chicago State. I don't think those are great opponents, but Boise State, who KenPom ranks number 35th in the country, 84-73 win, an 11-point win at home against them. Now the Tigers come to town, and we'll see what Penny Hardaway and his group can do tonight. KenPom has the Tigers winning this game by 2 points, but it only gets harder from that because right after this game against San Francisco, you go to Maui and you face the back-to-back defending champs. I haven't brought it up today because I don't feel like this team is a team that would do this, but you don't want Memphis overlooking San Francisco tonight and has, mindset only on UConn. But I don't get that feeling from this team. I don't feel. I feel like this team is very veteran-led, very mature as a team. I don't think they would do that.
And I'm told the whole focus is get to 4-0 before Maui.
Yep.
With 3 down, 1 to go. I'm right there with you. That's what I've learned today. Good start for this road trip, imperative tonight. Toughest road trip of the season. I think at any point of the year, this will be the toughest road trip. Almost any wins and loss preseason math had this one as a win. Almost any W&L math for this 4-gamer on the road has this one as a win. And it would be the win of the year for this young year for this team. Guard play will be very important, but I think the Memphis bigs have to help.
What I could have done without today, I can't confirm this. I saw a tweet about it earlier, but Portland, they played South Florida earlier. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. That game was going on. It ended up being a great game that came down to the very end. But supposedly Portland's bus got into a low-speed accident on the way to its Myrtle Beach game. So the players had to Uber over in groups of 2 to 3 so that they could make the game in time. That is crazy. I mean, think about it. All the coaches and everything, you're focused on this game, you're locked in. All of a sudden, now you got to book Ubers for your entire team. If that's true, what a wild story early in this basketball season.
And FAU ended up getting that win. The American 2-0 so far, or 2-1, rather, so far today. South Florida got the win over Portland, FAU over Oklahoma State. But East Carolina, a loser to Jacksonville State.
Wow,
could have done without.
Wow.
We are getting close to Jordan Brown sickness territory with Marcus Smart.
Well, yeah.
Need a little more than just sick, because at some point we need to send a get well card, don't we?
Well, after some time, you start worrying about him, Brett.
We really do. Here's what I think the illness is. I think he's sick of being here, and I think they're sick of him, and they don't want him hurt before maybe trying to deal him.
Oh, wow. That's interesting, but, Brett, you might be on to something. Where are you beaming tonight?
Beam me full. Tony Bennett, Leave Our Hearts in San Francisco. You don't know the reference, do you?
I don't. I'm sorry.
You know who Tony Bennett is? Other than, don't say the basketball.
No, I know he's a musician. It
Famous crooner, Tony Bennett,
yes.
Leaving his heart in San Francisco. Chase Center, basketball at the Chase Center. I mentioned earlier, San Francisco 3-2 in games played. It's still very new, Chase Center, but hope the Tigers make it 3-3 for them tonight.
Yeah, you definitely, that'd be great. But I'm obviously going to have my full attention to that game. But Brett,
how many open screens tonight?
Too many. Let's see. I'll have 4 on my computer. I'll have 1 on my iPad. I'll have at least 1 on the actual television. So
what about phone?
It's probably 8. Yeah, throw in the phone. Probably 8. But beam me to the Bahamas tonight. First off, who doesn't want to beam to the Bahamas? But look at these two matchups, both on CBS Sports Network. Starting here in a couple minutes, 13th ranked Baylor against 22nd ranked St. John's. Then after that, the other Tony Bennett's former team, Virginia, taking on number 11 Tennessee. Those are 2 fantastic games tonight.
Really good. UVA and Tennessee in the Bahamas. Pretty good college football game tonight on the campus at Georgia Tech, Grant Field, Bobby Dodd Stadium. I love that campus. Georgia Tech, the Rambling Wreck against North Carolina State. All the college basketball today from 10 a.m. This morning until midnight or so tonight. The Cal Classic. No, not John Calipari, but the Cal Bear Classic tonight has some good games in it. Steelers at Cleveland, NFL, 4 NBA games, and late Lakers 10-4 against 9-7 Orlando without Paulo Banchero.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game to watch in the NBA. You got all the college basketball, you got a little college football, NFL, a little bit of everything tonight, but that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.